fish or flatties? Raise the hands. Okay, and most of you guys probably would call flatties. So snapper fishing is very similar style, just a lot deeper. Sorry, but the action. Thank you. The action is a lot less aggressive. But although flatties at the moment they don't like aggressive, they like a bit of a brim type touch, which is the same with the snapper at the moment. So the only thing is you up the ante. So instead of using 4 12-pound braid, whatever you're using, we're using sort of a minimum of 15, probably more 20 and 30. Using multicolour, so you can count the colours or you can work out where the zone is, whatever it may be. We're using a bit bigger rod, so you might be using a 2,500. Stewie still does use a very small outfit. He'll tell you when he comes back up the road here, up the stairs. But he'll use something like that for snapper, which is actually one of my flatty rods, but he used the same thing, like 4 to 10 pound braid. He would use, I would think, he'll tell you again, but probably maximum 15-pound leader, and smaller, downsize everything, okay? And still big snapper will take it. And for myself, I'll be using, that's a 2,500 size reel or 3,000. I'll be using a 4,000 or 5,000 size reel, and something in that sort of lot stiffer. So like a sort of 10 to 20 pound rod. That's a 4,000 size reel in the Banford, but usually a 4 or 5 I use. And this is with plastics, of course. And I use the same rod for float lining, which that one's already set up for float lining. But that's my same as my snapper soft plastics rod. So most of you may already have something like that, okay? If you don't, we do have some deals on tonight, which we'll talk about a bit later on tonight. But if you got in that category, if you want to have a bit of fun, like 2.5, you're fishing inside of, say, 50 metres deep, is fine. But you will have to be prepared to get bricked a fair few times. But you'll get all those sort of up to 50 centimetre ones up. It's just the bigger ones you won't get up on most cases. And then the next step up is a bit heavier again. So this is like a 20 to 30 pound rod with a 5,000 size reel on it. And it's got 30 or 40 pound braid on that one. I'd probably use a bit bigger plastic than that Stewie put on there, but yeah, that sort of category. So Stewie, I'll just show him what sort of size you'd use out of those 3 rods.
Yeah, light one.
Yeah.
That one.
He fishes light on everything, but he gets most fish up. Yeah, two-piece rods. Okay, so that's the sort of 3 categories in the spin rods you're going to be looking at. So 2.5, if you want to fish very light, 4 or 5, you're going to fish sort of that 20 or 30 pound braid. The next thing we do is multicolour braid. And in the braid, there's all different types of braids. We talk about this all the time. Whether you go a strong braid that's really good on the rocks and abrasion resistance, with snapper that's very important, or do you go a very thin braid to get your plastic down there in the zone without much windage or current or that sort of thing, it's more natural sinking. That's also very important. So you've got to sacrifice one for the other. You've got to choose to go like a heavy, a thicker, a very non-abrasive one, or do I go a very thin line? That's very easy to break on the rocks. There is a new one out. So like Raffle for thin stuff's our biggest seller by far because it's well priced. Suffix 832 is a lot thicker. So 30 pound in that's equal to only 15 pound in the Suffix in thickness, okay? But the Suffix is extremely good on abrasion resistance, actually used by all different types of fishermen, rock fishing, barra fishing, to pull fish out of timber or whatever. It's very, very good. But there now is a new one. So this is from Daiwa. This is a Daiwa Saltiga 8, but it has a special coating on it that's 300% higher than any of the other braids I've ever done. But it's also nearly as thin as the thinnest. So it's actually been we've only had it for a week and we've sold lots of it. And it's well priced. It's priced similar to grappler, so around that sort of $72 for 300 metres. I'll pass this around. It's P2, which is only 20 pound diameter in, say, the Suffix, but it's actually 35 pounds. So that would be probably a really good snapper size in that sort of category. Anywhere between sort of, in that type of line, 25 to 45 pounds is probably the go, because you're talking only really 15 to 25 pound braid thickness in normal braid, okay? But really strong. So that's the braid. So the next thing we look at is the leader. Stewie would use What size lead are you used to?
16.
Yeah,
Very
I said
light.
15.
Yeah.
He's 16. Personally, I use 30 or maybe 40. 20 if I feel if things are really quiet or I'm just feeling a bit game. But 30 pounds my go-to. I use fluorocarbon, so 30 pound fluorocarbon's like 50 pound mono in abrasion resistance. So it's thinner, it's less visible to fish, and it's extremely good on rocks. And as I said before, the big ones will take you in the rocks. So 30 pound. If I'm fishing out of the 50 fathom reef, there's a chance I'm going to get a cobia or a Samson or a king or an amberjack jump on my lure. I'll up it to 40 pound just in normal mono. Just a little bit more power to pull it out of the hole. Trouble is, if you're only using 30 pound braid, you're really defeating the purpose because you can't apply 40 pound of pressure, you'll snap your braid, right? Just a mental thing. It's a bit stronger. So that's the sort of size. I wouldn't go 50 pounds really. I don't think you need to, and most of the gear's too light to warrant using 50 pound, unless you're using, say, like a 14,000 size reel or 10,000 size reel, a lot bigger, and using 50 pound braid, then you may use 50 pound leader. In that situation, you'd be fishing for a snapper that would be probably in excess of 70 to 80, 90 centimetres. So if you want to get those big ones out, you'll need to up the ante, okay? It's very rare that you'll get a 90 plus centimetre on a 30 pound leader and 20 pound braid, unless you're just a bit lucky. Has anyone here caught a 90 centimetre snapper at all in their past history? Baits or lures? Yeah, Rob? Yeah, buddy?
Yeah, go close enough.
That's close enough, mate. That's well done. Good. Good. Bigger than Stewie's one. That's the main thing, mate.
That was easy though. Up and funny.
No, the snapper, like this year, it's a really hard year to know what the fish are going to do. The fish are here, I believe, and they're probably going to rock up more in July. The really big ones. We talked about this in the last week's bait fishing seminar on snapper. The water temperature is really good, but there's no current, guys. The fish are just getting over it, I think. They're sick of the no current. But there's no current, there's no runs, no fun, there's no anything. It's just straight down. And I guess it's like, if you're eating a fair bit and you're not doing anything, you just got to lie in bed and relax. And you might get a bit hungry every now and then. But when there's current, the fish are working hard, they're swimming against the current, they're getting chased by other fish, they're also hungry, they need to eat something. And everything happens. It comes alive and the fish come on the bite and it all happens. We've had no current all year. Pretty well, odd day here and there. So we were out on Tuesday in 120 metres deep, fishing for pearlies and snapper and stuff. And it was no current. It was like 0.3 of a knot, I think, at the most. And I was speaking to a gentleman here tonight or today, fished the 24s today and the 36s, another guy. No current, straight down. So, and this weekend coming up, starting Saturday, is meant to be the hot bite, 4 fish bite day, which is as high as it gets. We go Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And we got 4 days of pretty well 10 knot winds and like 0.3 of a metre of sea. So it's a really big test to see if the fish are going to bite. There was a little bit of southerly current come in last Sunday. If anyone was out there, Sunday's a bit of a crappy day compared to Saturday. But I think Ross is it?
Yeah, Sunday, Monday.
Yeah, Sunday, Monday.
Through.
And a lot of guys caught fish. Did anyone get out there Sunday and have a crack? Did you guys do any luck at all? Saturday did better than Sunday? Yeah, okay. So anyhow, did you have any current Saturday at all, mate? No.
No, current Saturday at all.
Yeah, none, yeah. Yeah, that's right. It's just been non-event all year, but yeah. It's another story, but...
I was fishing down southwest Rock.
Yep. Is there a lot down there, mate? Yeah, there is actually. So if you look on the current charts, guys, we've got this, like I was saying this before, there's this massive big upwelling, like a low in the water, if that makes sense, spins clockwise, and it's about 100 k's east of Point Lookout. It's been there for 3 months, has not moved. So the current comes ripping down the coast, and it comes down sort of top of Fraser. Once it gets to about just south of the sort of Sunshine Coast area, maybe Noosa a bit more, it normally comes straight down past Lookout, hits Tweed, and we're right in the current line here, the Nemo Highway. But it gets sucked out at about Sunshine Coast out to this upwelling and pulled out okay, and it just sits there in spirals, and it spirals north up our way. Has been doing that for months, but that is starting to dissipate. So that current hopefully will start coming back down straight and come down the coastline, and that's what we need. The downfall is in winter we don't get much current, naturally. So it's normally the time it does drop off, but not to this extent. So we just got to wait and see what happens. Yeah. Anyhow, it's up to the current people who do the current. So get back to our soft plastics. So we've done the rods, the reels, and the line. Just to go back to the rods too, guys, I'd recommend something that's fairly stiff, complete opposite to slow pitch jigging where you want something very soft. You need that soft plastic. When you do twitch it, you want it to bounce, okay? If you've got too soft and you sort of move it, it won't do much. It's different when you're using slow pitch jigs or ball jigs because they're quite heavy and they'll pull the tip down and bounce back up just naturally. So it's a different technique, okay? But yeah, anyhow, that's the rod sort of quite stiff, except for Stewie's light one there. And okay, soft plastic. So you can use anything from about 3 inch, which is like the one on Stewie's on there, up to about a 7 inch on the snapper. Colour favourites, they all work, but white seems to be the most prevalent colour that works the best in every brand. UVs are still quite productive, and as we know, UV in deep water and any water works really well, and I'll show you that with the torch a bit in a moment. But if I had a choice, I'd probably go white, maybe green. I like green for snapper, and some of the natural type colours as well. In the shape of the plastic, if you're fishing the little ones, tails are fine. If you're fishing the bigger ones, so it's fishing that size to that size is okay. But if you go up to like a 7 inch, so they're like 3 and 5 inch. If you go up to a 7 inch, tails like that are no good. It's good for jewies, like on the blocks or somewhere, which I'll talk about a bit later, but no good for snapper, okay? It's got to be either a small tail. These got a very small tail in comparison. So this. So look at the size of the tail on something like that. You can see that then sorry down the back's a bit hard. I'll pass this around. This fella here's a lot more action and quite a small tail, so it's got a lot of action on the fall. And float lining, float lining is very similar to soft plastics. A lot of the hits are on the fall and not so much even on the action, okay? Has anyone caught snapper on the fall at all? Probably will. Same deal, you cast it up current or upwind or whatever it might be. You can actually fish 2 rods. I don't generally cast it up, drop my the cadence jig down, and then as that's going down, I put that back in the rod holder, and I watch the other one, and sometimes it'll just flick off 100 miles an hour on the fall. It depends on the jig head. At the moment, I would say it would not need any more than about 3/8 or maybe a half. But generally saying for snapper, I'd say use half minimum, generally 3/4 to an ounce, and that's even fish on the 18. So. You need to get down there, but we've normally got wind and current, so you've got to downsize a bit. Next sort of plastic that's very, very popular is the split tail ones, which is like this style here. So I'll pass it around as well. So these are like a Z-Man style. We've got Z-Mans here as well, but they're just like a split tail at the back here, and that's the most popular style we sell for snapper. Okay, and has anyone caught snapper on the paddle tail at all? No one has? Well, you will. Give it a shot. Split tail? Yep, very good. The action on these is a lot more erratic, and you just twitch it and they'll sort of bounce up and come back down again. They're very, very, quite a fast movement, if that makes sense. A little bit different to a paddle tail where you're sort of bobbing it more or less, hopping it, and letting it swim back down again. These ones, it falls a lot quicker, so your action's a lot more aggressive, even though you're only just lifting a little bit. The plastic's doing a lot of action. That's true. And then we go up to the next size bigger, which is like your Z-Mans and Gulp and stuff like that. I didn't bring the Gulp up, but Gulp is by far one of our biggest selling snapper soft plastics. The 7-inch Gulp white, especially if you fish out 50 fathoms with a big snapper, is like the gun. Okay, just to let you know that. This is 7-inch in the Z-Man. This is a scented one, so it's a little bit stinky. Should probably put this like in bait in a wrapper a wrapper, but get used to the smell, guys. So it's a stretchy one. So that's called 10X material. It's in a lot of soft plastics these days. It's extremely long lasting. And snapper do have like those mulching teeth on it, so they will damage a lot of plastics, but they won't damage these. Also a lot of action as well.
What size hook?
On that one there, we're using about, so you got to adjust your hook. You want a fair bit of hook hanging out of the plastic, guys. A lot of guys I see, they have a plastic that size and they'll put like a 4/0 in it. It's only got like about like half of the bend sticking out, probably 1/3 of the bend sticking out because it's too big, that's too thick and the hook's too thin. So you need about a 6/0 in that, okay? And it's 7-inch plastic. So 6/0 and a 7-inch, probably 5/0 and a 5-inch, 4/0 or 3/0 maybe in the smaller ones. The problem is in the hooks, no one has any uniform size in the hooks. So some brands are 3/0 is like a 6/0 in other brands, okay?
So you want it about halfway.
About 40% or 35 to 40% down is where the barb will come out in the shank, in the length of the plastic. Yeah, not halfway would be the maximum.
But
In
you
the
want
length.
the
Oh,
hook.
into the body? Yes, you want at least
You want more
yeah,
than half of the gape
you want
on
60% of the gape on top
Yeah.
at least. Yeah, yeah, yes.
Just a big head.
Yes.
Are they fixed or you're using the ones I was taking?
We're going to talk about that in a minute, but we've got
Oh,
both.
sorry.
Got both. No, you're right, you're right, mate. Actually, we might rig up a couple and pass around and give you some idea. So if you've got some tickets, this go, yep, that's fine. I'll grab a pair of scissors.
Model.
No modelling. Up to the, under the knife. No, that's what you're talking about. That's a 7 or 6.
Just on the soft plastics head with the paddle tails. Is that like the latest craze or is there
Paddle tails are really good when you've got no current.
okay?
So the action's a lot more. If you've got a little bit of current, they get too much, like windy during casting, if it makes sense. It's the same underwater. They get too much drag,
Yes.
and the action's not as good, and you're forever casting up to get it to bring back down. So my suggestion is if you've got a bit of current, guys, use a fork tail plastic, and if you've got no current, use a paddle tail plastic. Okay. At the moment, it's a paddle tail plastic world. Put my glasses on. Okay, there you go. Yeah, I found them. And I'll pass, and there's another type of plastic too that's a bit of combination of both. So most of your split tail plastics have a quite a slender body, and it enables it to have that real dart action like I was telling you. But the nemesis in the Berkeleys, which come in both gulp and powerboat, has a chunky body like a paddle tail, okay? So it has a lot of swim action, but the tail is elongated. So when it swims down, this actually really, ribbon effects is very similar to a split tail, probably more action if anything. I don't know. Yeah. Does anyone use the Berkeley power baits in other types of lures, like the Berkeley power bait range? They smell like off cheese, but they're really good.
As long as it doesn't smell like super fin, I'm happy. Yes.
I don't.
It's 3 doors up.
Oh, okay, right.
Maxie's bringing back bait tomorrow too. Semi-trailer full of mullet.
Oh, is that right? Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, good. It's plenty of mullet around at the
Oh,
moment.
it's rank.
You still want to put that one over.
Yeah.
Yeah. So guys, just have a look at these coming around, and it'll give you some idea where we put the hooks and how much exposed the hooks are out, and the size of the hook that suits the body. Actually, I might just do one. Have we got a little hook here, Stu? 3. This one. Onto a small plastic.
I would just use that one.
Oh yeah, here's that one. Cut that off. Just pass around a little one as well. So if you're fishing, how many guys here got boats under 5 metres? So you got to guys be fishing like under 50 metres, right? Deep. I'll still go out to confirm that, but anyhow, that's all right. Guys, try and downsize a little bit. There are big snapper. The biggest snapper coming from in close as well, don't forget that. But predominantly you'll be catching that sort of 40 to 60 centimetre size, and they love little 3-inch plastics or 3.5-inch plastics to 4-inch plastics, so give that a crack.
So you're working them up and down in the waterfall?
Yeah, so that's exactly what I was going to say. So casting up current, try and cast the distance. A little bit different to when we're fishing with baits, we're trying to cast about 3/4 the distance and let the rest pull off the reel as it's falling down. With soft plastics, you want to try and get it as far up as you can and hop it all the way back, if you can. Once it goes past you, it's a bit like when you're fishing in current. Generally there is current. It's very hard with a small jig head to get it to hit the bottom. There has been times where I've had to put a ball sinker on top of the jig head because the current's ripping that hard and still caught them, as long as you contact to the bottom. If you haven't got a big enough jig head, you just improvise. It works all right too, yeah.
Generally not looking up when they're feeding.
That's right, yeah, down. Yeah, it'll go past them. But yeah, so work up as far as you can and hop it back towards you, okay? He has the soft plastics history.
No, that's about it. Yep.
That's about it.
Is it
Okay,
the,
so-
the bigger ones go for the bigger plastics?
No, they don't.
Ah.
No, your catch is a little. Graham has asked a big snapper go for big plastics. When I fish the 50 fathom reef, yes, the 7 inches of size to use it there. But in close, you'll catch a little squire on a 7-inch plastic, and you'll catch a 90 on a 3-inch plastic. I think it just depends on. You always try and obviously match the bait. If you drop a bait jig down and you're catching slimies at all this size, then you need to use bigger plastics, okay? And if you drop a bait jig down, all the yakkers are this size, and that's the size plastic you should be using. And it's not a bad thing to do, is to drop a bait jig down when you're out fishing all the time to check the bait that's around. You can see on the sounds of red blob, but you just don't know what size it is. And if you're offering the wrong size, they're not going to like it. Okay? Bit different to us if we're in a smallest board and we see a big prawn amongst the prawn stack. That's mine, you know. But for them, they don't really care. They want to eat and easy eat whatever that average size around them. Yeah. I didn't bring any up, guys, but S factor. No one's asked about S factor. So, how many guys here use S factor on their plastics? If you don't, you should. And well done, guys. It's like if I go without S factor, I feel like I'm not going to have as good a day. I feel a bit vulnerable. So, so I suggest taking S factor. If you're using gulp, you don't need it. Gulp's on its own is a very good thing. I'll show you S factor when we go downstairs. You haven't seen it. It's on the front counter right now near our till. It's in a black tube. It's called S factor. You just put a smear on your fingers, just a little dab, and then wipe it generally around the hook area and the belly, like the front part of the plastic. I never put it much beyond the hook where the bend comes around, because they're going to keep nipping on the tail. You don't want to nip it on the tail. You want it to go up hard in the centre where the hook is. Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. Okay, exhibit A. Sorry. It's got one that's like the Dickie knee hand. So I'll pass this around. If you haven't seen it, this is what it is. It's about, I think around 11 or 12 bucks a tube with the discount.
No one's that much better than all the other brands, do you reckon?
Oh, okay. We sell the whole lot. We sell the slime one. We don't sell much of it, but we got it there. We do sell a bit of the gulp one, but predominantly when we don't have S factor. And ProCure, it ticks over. There are guys that love ProCure and just might like the squid one or whatever it might be. But to be honest, the S factor would be 50 to 1. Like we go through boxes and boxes a day. Weekend we'll go through 2 boxes, you know.
I think it's the best
On a day.
all-rounder,
Yeah.
and it stays on your plastics a lot better.
Yeah.
Like it's got that waxy residue type thing to it, whereas the other one's
Actually,
wash off
let's
a bit quicker.
sorry. I just want to try something. I just want to have something. You know, of all the times, I reckon I've used 100 tubes in my life, but I've never ever put a UV light on. It's meant to be UV enhanced, so I'm going to check it. Here's the big test, guys. Okay, it is UV. So, it is UV. So it looks clear there, right? Can you see?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it there. It's a bit hard to see. There you go. Can you see that? So that's UV. Yeah, if you turn. Actually, do you want to do the UV thing now? How many guys know about UV, how it works on lures? So some of you do. So UV is like the game changer. So if you're using UV lures and you're not using UV lures, it's the way the fish see it. So I don't know if it gets them excited or what it does. We don't really know. I don't know. People know, but scientists maybe know. But does anyone here do UV stuff and know about UV more than I do? What's the deal, mate? Do you know? No one knows, but this works. Okay. Okay. It just does work, and I don't know what it is. UV line, UV hooks, UV glow painted, and
Mainly works when you're in deeper water.
in deeper water it does. That's correct. Different light spectrums, but it definitely works in close, even on flatties. If we're using like motor oil colours, are classic UV. Red's another one too. So most red stuff is UV enhanced. So if you can see it, that's red, right? You put a UV torch on it. Can you see the difference? It goes green. So it changes colour, and that becomes more of a bait fish colour. So that's how they see it. And if you got something else that's not UV enhanced, like this one, you put a UV torch on it, it doesn't do anything. So there's a difference, okay? And that's how the fish perceive it, I guess. The other thing too is that obviously it glows a lot more. So if you've got UV, there's a little plastic here to show you. Okay, so I think you got that colour in your bags, guys. That's a really good popular colour because it's super UV. So it actually, can you see that there at all? So it really highlights it and gets them turned on. I don't know. But anyhow, I'll show the UV glow a bit later. We'll turn the lights off. But so there's the S factor. Getting back to that, it's got UV on it as well. Okay, so this little smear on your plastic around the hook area. Okay, doesn't matter if you chase with flatties or stamper or whatever. It's a great thing.
Is there a smell to that one?
There's hardly any smell. It's pheromones. So thank you, mate, gentlemen. Cheers, buddy. Thanks, mate. Yeah, mate. Thanks, mate. So it has pheromones in it. So the pheromones activate the fishes, simulate the fish to want to eat, and that's how it works.
Like a snack.
A bit like that for a dog. Yeah, that's right. Okay. So any questions on that so far? Okay. So how do we work the plastics in the reef? It's the same as they do most lures. So if this is my reef here, I've got a bit of a structure here, a bit of rubble bottom here, and maybe a pinnacle here. That. And I've got bait sitting, sorry, I'll move out of the way in a sec, guys. I've got bait sitting balled up here. And a bit of bait here scattered around. And another bait ball over here. And you'll generally see the fish will be generally above it in that area, or maybe they might be just sitting just over here, ready to pounce on them. There may be fish below the bait here on this rubble stuff, and maybe some around it. And this one here, there might be fish up higher, or up even in the area here. And let's say that's 0 to say 40 metres, and that's around about 30 metres at the top of that pinnacle there. So I'll just go back to here as well. So this is my GPS now. So let's just say we're looking at here, and here. So that's those three areas there, boom, boom, boom. And I've already got it marked on my screen, okay? So if the wind's blowing, say this is north up, and the wind's blowing northeast, and I'm going to drift southwest, and generally you have southerly current, so you take it all into perspective, right? But if I'm coming up to this one here, which is this reef here, I'm going to start my drift probably somewhere around here. And when you go up to your spot, it's really important. So I've come up from out here somewhere, come up here in my boat, I try not to drive over at the first go unless I really have to. Sometimes I'm really inquisitive to see is there any fish there, but sometimes I think, no, I'm just going to have a drift through and I'll see it on the sounder anyhow. And if I don't do a drift through, then I might just drive up through it. But sometimes, like, does sounders scare fish? Do sounders not scare fish? I think it's 50-50. A lot of times we've had our sounders on and smash the fish. And other times I've had the sounder and not getting bites. I think, is it the sounder? I don't know, some guys want to turn it off to get near the area. It's up to you guys, but I try and, the first drift I normally go away from it. I've done a little dummy drift over here too, by the way, before I come to here, before I drift in. I started up here and my angle was similar to that angle there, okay? So I've drifted from there down to there. I know sort of how long it's going to take me, and that might be a distance of, say, I don't know, 400 metres from there down to there. So I've drifted on that similar angle as this. Come to here, I thought, okay, I'm ready. All my plastics are on. I'm going to go back up here. Got my S factor on. And I'll pull up here. When you pull up, it's important that you turn the arse into the wind if the wind's blowing northeast. Don't just pull up with the nose going into the wind. Like you're driving up here. Don't just pull up there with the boat facing that way, because the wind's going to turn you around. So, and you can't, if you throw at the back of the boat, the boat's going to go, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. So what you'll need to do is to face the boat the other way. So the back of the boat's there, the front of the boat's there. And you're going to cast your lines. Actually, that should be a bit bigger, the screen, but actually I'll move that X down to here a bit further. It'll be easier. Spot's just moved. And I'll cast my first line. I'll cast one there and one there, okay? And that, I know my drift's that angle, so I've lined myself up to sort of go across that trajectory on the drift. And my cast is there. By the time my boat gets to around here somewhere, like that, I'm hoping that the boat's gone there and the lines come from there down to around here somewhere, right next to the boat area, if that makes sense. And that's the area I'm going to work it. If I've done a long cast, like I said before, I can get a longer cast in, and the boat, say, here, right near on top of the spot. I know I'm not quite on them yet, but I'll just slowly hop it, like really slowly. There's still, because you haven't got time to cast your line back up again, you're going to miss it otherwise. Does that make sense? So you've got to really just work that area as slow as you can, as slow as you can, to allow the momentum to keep going, the boat going forward, so your line's in the zone to land down on those fish there. Does that make sense? Okay, so, and then, yeah, sorry, David.
I just can't quite follow that. I mean,
Yeah.
well, when we fish the current, wherever you throw your line out, it's going to be way out in front of the boat.
Okay, so you've got a unfortunately we don't have much current at the moment, so I'm trying to do that, just wind only, no current. But if there was current coming from south going north, actually it's north going south, sorry, most of the time, north going south, in that case you're going to drift a bit faster, so you'll need to then back up a little bit, because you still always got to cast in front of the boat though, so cast towards the bow, on a bit of angle though, otherwise you run over your lines. And then as the boat goes slowly forward, the lines come down. Does that make sense? So as you're drifting with the wind, with the arse facing, the wind's blowing this way, so you get a drift that way.
You just got to be heavy enough when you sink it then.
You have to, that's right, and you need to know the depth is very dictating the size of the jig head you're going to be using. So, but at the moment, because there's no current, and if you back up, even 3/8 will get down in 50 fathoms now, you know, it's just, it's eventually going to get down there. The more you can waffle it down slowly, the more chance of getting those bigger fish, because it's got time to sink past them very, very slowly, and they're going to grab it, they're going to hit it. Where normally we don't have that luxury. We have either real wind or we have a lot of current, and we're using a 3/4 or whatever size sinker to get down the bottom, and it's just shooting past pretty quick. So it's a bit like when you're Pearly fishing. If you can fish that really small, like a one ball or whatever, that's how you get those really big snapper. They've got time to see it, chase it, look at it, and pounce it. But if you go too fast, it doesn't happen. You still get them, but you get a lot more chance now. The problem is they're inactive with no current. But if there's any big ones there that are hungry, they'll eat it. So does that make sense, Dave? So you're drifting, the boat's drifting down the way you cast. The line that you cast is not going to actually, unless you got your bail arm clicked over and it's quite tight and heavy, it will pull back to the boat, and the boat may catch up to it pretty quick. But if you cast at the distance or a bit over the distance and leave the bail arm open, so you've got time to, it'll just actually fall down where it hit the water. But the boat will slowly drift towards it. Does that make sense?
Not out a square patch.
No, a square patch is different. It's a little bit deeper. How deep is it there? 60, 75 metres, okay. And you've not got current, right? We just don't have any current at the moment. So this is like in closer, so a little bit different scenario. If you're fishing, say that change, now let's just change this. If it changed to, let's say that's 80 metres, oops. Good call to do a different scenario. That's 80 metres, and that's in 65 metres, like 36 fathom reef, say, for example. Then you'd have to up the ante to probably, none of those ones we got there. Maybe that half ounce one, but probably more 5/8. Oh, that one there, yeah, that's 3/4. The bigger one. Oh, that's only a little one. We didn't use one of the big ones? No, we didn't. Okay, sorry. You'll need to up the ante to something like that, Dave. Bigger sinker, like a bigger size. So 3/4. There's no real set formula for depth versus that. Different to when you're using these type of things, it's like 1 gram for 1 metre, 100 gram, 100 metres, you know. Where this sort of thing, it's different because it normally takes a bit more to get down there with the bulk of a plastic on it. So it doesn't quite work in that method. And if you don't want, you wouldn't use a 100 gram jig head because it doesn't work that way, but it's got a sort of free fall sink slow. There is no formula. But my suggestion would be, as someone said it before, it's based on the wind and the current on the day. Yep. So the most I'd ever use myself out there would be maybe 42 grams, which is 1.5 ounces. So I think I did have one here. Let's do one here. That's a
That's an ounce.
no, the no, it's one of the TT ones with the silver hook on it. Sorry guys, I'll find this one. I did bring a big jig heady.
No.
Okay, if someone's watching, it's like we asked about the S factor before. Can you please pass us a TT 10-0 2 ounce jig head, please. Thought I had one here. Anyhow, sorry guys, I'll pass it around, Dave, instead of me. So you have to up the ante. So in that case scenario, to get it to go down, you'll still be able to cast with those thread lines. You better cast 65. You better cast the depth easy, 65, 70 metres, and get it down there. But again, you want to get down as slow as it can, and that means that your line, for it to fall when you get the bail arm open, and it's still going down on the spot, and your boat's catching up pretty quick with the wind or the current, you'll need to actually back the boat up a little bit to give it more time to fall. So back the boat into the wind or the current, back it up this way, because you're going to approach this area too quick. But even though the line's still going down, the boat's going to go to here, and it's going to pull the line away from the fish. And it comes out the back of the boat, and it'll be pulling it away. So you'll need to back the boat up, and try and get it to fall beside the boat. And then, so, same deal. If I've got nothing on that spot there, and I know this patch here is coming out, which is the next one here, my boat's down here, just before I get to the spot, if my line's still semi in the zone, like maybe that area there at the most behind the boat, I'll back the boat up so it comes down, even goes forward of the boat just a little bit, or just beside the boat, and then work it, hop it again as I go past this spot. And I know that spot there's straight up after it, and I'll just maybe just keep it in reverse, or it depends on the wind and the current on the day, you know, what you can do. You back it up into the current. If you're using a drone, like a dredge, you know, the big sock, you just got to adjust the jig head to suit the drift of that, because you can't back up. Okay. If you've got spot lock at the moment is really good. So in no current, spot locks is your friend. So you can just sit on the spot, cast straight at the back, then it'll fall and it'll sit on the bottom, and you can hop it all the way back. You do a 360 fan around the boat and work the whole area, work that whole, if that was just, we're talking 400 metres apart here, but imagine that was maybe an area about the size of a football field, you'd be able to work that whole area just on spot lock with no current. You've got 15 knots of wind blowing. It's going to be hard to cast into the wind, but anything out the back, you'll be able to work it or the side. You get the bow in your line a little bit, but not too bad. Just put a bit bigger jig head on. Yeah. So spot lock's not that good in current when it's ripping, but in no current it's extremely good. Does that all make sense, guys? Yep. Okay. We've got a lot more to go. So is there any questions on soft plastics at all? You guys are all good? Jig heads. I mentioned Kruger about swivel jig heads versus straight ones. This is swivel here. So what I was asking before is there's a jig head you can get, which Berkeley do and a couple other guys do. That's not actually it. Sorry about that. I'll pass this one around too. This is another jig head that has an assist hook on it, which is only a small size, but I do big sizes too. I'll pass it around. It's just, a lot of guys are running assist hooks, and we've been running assist hooks for flatties. I'm going to tell you that, Mick, for a long time. But I run the assist hook just up hard. I just put it with a loop on it, so you get like dancing jacks, some other brands down there we got. And you thread the loop up on the shank first and then put your plastic on. And the fish never ever falls off. It might rip the plastic off a big fish if it gets hooked on the jigs, on the assist hooks, but it never ever comes off the end of the hook. It just can't do it. It doesn't work. Okay, but the hookup rate is by far probably 5 times enhanced using assist hooks. But you also hook up on fern and crap on the bottoms 10 times enhanced. Okay, so it's the one you got to take one or the other. Okay, I think that's about it. The jig head lady hasn't seen us, but that's all right. I love your wife. Okay, so any questions on the soft plastics at all? Everyone's good. Anyone want to know anything about it? Everyone's good? Just give it a crack. Okay. No one's asked about the Berley up with soft plastics. Personally, if you had anchor or spot lock and you want to chop up some pearlies and work the plastics in the pearlies, it does work, and it will work better than not doing it. But it's sort of like cheating a little bit. If you're going to get with lures only, just go out with lures only, okay?
So if you're doing Berley in 50 metres, is it getting down there?
It is at the moment because there's no current, mate.
Oh, right.
Straight to the bottom, yeah. Normally, no.
But is it really going to pull them up higher?
Yeah, it will. And your plastics get hit quicker on the way down. Not that I've done it, maybe. No, it does enhance. It enhances a lot. So you can get them to about 20 metres below the boat in 50 metres. Sorry, mate.
Colour?
Colour-wise, white.
Oh.
As in the plastic?
Yeah.
White's number one. Yeah, white's number one. The green or nuclear chicken type colours are probably number 2.
Overcast,
Yeah.
clear, whatever.
Not really any difference, I think. Yeah, not really much different. We sell all colours, and we've got guys that catch them in all colours. But personally, I think it's a little bit suey at any that.
White. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we'd like to say any colour.
Yeah.
You need all the colours in Spectrum, try it. Okay, if you're going to Berley up, from the top, you want to actually bring them up, mate. But if there's current, you need to drop it down a Berley bomb and either release it or just have it a Berley bomb. Yeah. Okay. But at the moment, please remember, guys, at the moment, the fishing, the current's not normal. It's very abnormal. So I would be taking advantage of my fishing technique is going to completely change because I'm using a lot lighter than I normally use in jig head, and I'm going to downsize considerably. And I believe if you want to use Berley, you use Berley, mate, you know. But we're normally, like Dave's talking, using bigger jig heads and working a lot harder. Sorry, Korea?
Jig heads again.
Yes.
I know you're just showing us all the silver heads on
Yep.
it. Are you into different colours?
Yeah. So jig heads in different colours is are definitely, I think, a slight advantage. Like a UV colour is really good.
Yeah. I only say that because like with the
Yeah.
sinkers, when you're bait fishing, you guys have got like the...
Yeah, Lumo sinkers, that's right, yeah. And actually, before I said I put a sink on top of the ball, on top of the jig head, it was a Lumo sink, by the way. Yeah. So if you got Lumo jig heads, pink or whatever, TTs or whatever it might be, the football jig heads, they'll work quite good as well. I probably wouldn't use football jig heads in the ocean because its fall rate's a lot slower. Unless you got no current, maybe again, it might be an advantage to fall a bit more on the way down. But in current and wind, it's a slower fall rate. It's a bit like the feather and the piece of lead off the side of the building, but it does fall slower. Okay. Same weight. Okay, I think that's about it. Okay, let's move to your area of town. Stewie, the jiggers, or the ball jiggers.
Yeah, like we do a lot of board jigging. Generally, it does work on the 18s. It gets better as you go further out, but 24s, 36s, and 50s definitely comes into a field of its own. The rod, however, is very different. So we use more of like this style.
That was what I was using out on Tuesday for the Pearlies.
Is that lighter again?
It's a lot lighter at the tip.
Yeah, it's
a
a lot
different
softer
action.
at the tip.
It's got to be soft.
Yeah.
Complete opposite to soft plastics.
Okay. Damn.
Yeah. So the tip's bending without even, and I think that's about 90 grams. But because there's no current, I was fishing at 128 metres the other day, straight down, sure, which I can never normally do. So, yeah.
Yeah. But in terms of like gear, obviously it's a lot softer tip rod, as Dougie was saying.
Yep.
But line's very important with this stuff. Like I only ever use PE one, so it's only like 20 pound. You've got a light rod, you can't give that
PE1.
much hurt on the fish anyway. So there's no point in fishing like 30 or 40 because you can't stop it. The rod's just going to fold away. And just, 20, 30 pound leader on this stuff, a little bit heavier than the plastic stuff, I find. Standard if you're Dougie and fish heavy everywhere. But, most of...
Bigger fish.
Yeah, the thing is, the rod does all the action. So you can they work really well just in the rod holder, drop it down, wind up like one turn just so you don't get snagged, and the action of the boat is enough to move that jig. If not, just work it very slow. You can't work them too slow.
Even when I'm winding it, like the cast out, again I'll leave the bail arm open, I want it to fall where it's going to land, and then sort of just lift it up. I'll lift up and just slow wind, just one turn, and then I'll just lift it up in one turn, and then I'll do maybe the third time I'll lift up and I'll actually shake it, and then let it fall down again. And that's always when I get the hit, when you shake it. Has anyone tried that technique at all? Works very good. Yeah, very good.
Yeah, Pearlies love it being shaken.
Yeah, Pearlies love it too, yeah. But snapper love it as well. The hooks on most of the canvas type jigs, this type of jig, are very, very small. And people say, well, it's way too small for a snapper. I'm using 7/0s, you know. These are about a size 6 or 4. It doesn't get throat hooked, it's always lip hooked in the lips. And those lips don't pull off. Very hard to pull lip off, okay? Don't be scared about this massive big jig and these little tiny hooks. That's how it's got to be. The only thing you've got to be scared of is using too heavy of braid, you will bend them or snap them. Okay? Right. So, yeah. There's a lot of different types of those type of jigs, guys. There's ones that run free. There's ones that clip in and clip out as well. Probably our biggest sellers, obviously, Dokan jig is our #1 seller, but we can't get them anymore. They've now stopped making them. But they were the go-to. There's a couple left down there, but not many. We sell a lot of
These are about the next best things. Yeah.
Baku Buku. They're from Shimano. They do a whole range. They're great, and they are the pull-off ones, aren't they, Stu, I think?
Yeah, so the head actually is independent to the body. So they come rigged like on a little bit of mono. Cut that mono thing off. It's just the packaging. And your line just runs through like a standard running sinker. You go through the skirt and then you tie off to the hooks. But it works really, really well. Traditionally, they actually hold onto the fly or the tail and drop the head down. And with the multicolour braid, you can drop it down halfway. So say you're in 40 metres, you drop it down 2 colours, 20 metres, and then let go of that fly and it actually meets it. It kind of pulls that fly unweighted down and it meets it close to the bottom. But here, like to be honest, we just run it straight down to the end and fish it like a standard jig. But yeah.
So I'll put a bit of line on it actually. Would be the best thing I think. Yeah, I always break it.
You gonna find the end? You let Stewie tie that?
Yes.
Skirt. And was it later?
Wow.
We haven't had the argument over loop knots and tie straight to the lures.
No, I do tie these directly straight with the uni knot.
It's not worth the argument. No, I just tie straight to these ones. Jig head, I always tie straight to it.
Are there any benefits of the loop knot?
There is on soft plastics, I believe, but for me it is. For him, he just ties directly to it. But on this type of thing, it's always just the uni knot straight to it.
Sorry, when you say tie straight to it, you mean tie it on a split ring? Or?
No, tie it to the hook assist hook split ring or the ring, but just tie it direct like a uni knot or a knot. Yeah, mate. Yeah.
Yep.
So we'll pass this around. You can see how it works.
Just tie a loop so it doesn't come off the
That's
top.
a good idea. Yep. Little tiny good idea. So that's the first one. The second one we sell a lot of is the Koga from Daiwa. We sell lots of these as well. They're a great product, and both these work extremely good. Okay, guys. I'll pass this around. These are like, how many guys have a boat that's able to get it to say 50 fathoms, 100 metres odd, 120 metres, probably more than half you. So if your boat's around 4.5 metres and it's a good weather like this weekend, as long as it's not blowing west, and you've got the fuel capacity, you could have a crack at it, as long as you probably go with another boat though. But there'll be guys out there, I can guarantee this weekend, in 4.5 metre boats. But the Pearlies, like Pearly fishing and snapper fishing, in that 85 to 120 metre mark is extremely good fishing. And this type of technique of fishing is our go-to more than anything else we're doing here. For snapper and pearlies, it's a great thing. And the other stuff you catch as bycatch is ridiculous. Every species you can think of. Where on plastics, I don't get that range of diversity. Yeah, Grinners, unfortunately, and Sergeant Bakers and all above. Even Sweep. Yeah. I'll tell you another thing that's out at the moment, the heat skies at the moment. Has anyone caught a squid on their jig out there the last few weeks? Yeah, big arrow squid. They're everywhere out there. Even we were catching them in 280 metres. And we catch 100, we caught one the other day in 120 metres. And yeah, big arrows, they're like the bodies like that and the heads are like your hand. And they're so nice deep. So I would suggest, I don't know if you can deep cast a squid jig, but they get hooked up on these little catchy type jigs, really easy because it gets hooked in their tentacles, the two cyst hooks. So you might get one of those. If something feels like quite weird on there, that's what it'll be. So take your time, get that up. Don't pump it fast because you're not losing it.
Do those Burko jigs work in 20 metres of water?
Yeah, they will. So you just downsize. So guys, we are now reverting back to the gram per metre scenario. So 20 metres, 20 grams, 40 metres, 40 grams. Okay, you can go sort of half that weight on a really good day where there's no wind and no current, like at the moment. So if you've got, say 36 fathoms, 70 metres deep, you're using an 80 gram will work fine there, but you may get away with a 40 gram at the moment because there's no current. Okay. The one I was using the other day is called a rubber. They're all Japanese, so they've all got weird names, but it's a rubber. These things, the other day, I caught, I don't know, heaps of pearlies and stuff like that. The octo type jigs, which is the true octopus, which are mustard, make the ink vader. And there's some other brands out there that do squids in that as well. These are really, really cool and work really, really well. Especially this little fella in close, getting to the gentleman asked about in close. These little fellows work really, really good. It's like a little ockie. It's pulled from the top there. I think they have twin assist as well. So I'll pass this around.
That's why guys were fishing the port, I reckon squid cracks needed to be a little bit smaller.
A bit smaller, yeah. They haven't got a small one yet, but hopefully
Doing
soon.
all right, but I reckon reckon if you dropped it down a size or two, it went off.
Yeah, it would go off, yeah. So these are, we got a deal on all those mustard incubators. They're 2 for 1 at the moment, so they work out about $14.95 each. So they're pretty cheap in that size. That's all right, mate. Oh, did I? Oh, great. Nice, mate. So they're really good.
You got better eyes.
We normally have the kawais, but we had a drum with skirts on them, but those things just rock. And I've caught many of a 80 plus centimetre on that little 15 grammer, you know. So they work really well. They do up to 120 grams, but at the moment, we're going to wait for those who got more stock coming, new skirts on them. The ink faders do obviously all different sizes, up to about 300 grams. That's the bigger version of that little one going around. They're 2 for $59, so about $29 each. And then there's cheaper brands like this fella here. This is a Gillies one. These work really well as well. They do a range of sizes and colours. That's a 40 gram, which is what we'd probably use in that sort. At the moment, we use that at 36 fathoms, believe it or not. But generally on the 24 fathom reef, 50 metres. Something like that's about $13.90 or something like that, $13.50. So they're pretty cheap.
What weight would you be using now at 36s?
I'd be trying to get away with if you're using, say, P1 line, like 20 pound or 30 pound, quite thin braid, I'd be probably trying to get away with 40 or 60, maximum of 80. Yep, in this current. They'll get slammed on the way down too. But as Stuart said, how many guys have tried the octo type jigs in the rod holder yet? How many guys have caught fish doing that, I should say? Not many. You've done it, caught fish on it? Yeah, it's very, very good. So,
One at the surface, what is it, subsurface?
oh, did you?
Yeah.
All right.
Something took it, we don't know what it was.
Oh, something big. So my suggestion would be if you can run 2 rods at once, if you're using plastics, as long as it doesn't get in the way, I'd definitely drop an octo jig down to the bottom, 1 turn up so it doesn't get hooked on the bottom, and it's sort of just that rod tip will just go like this all the time. Just the weight of that 40 gram lure will pull the rod tip up and down all the time. When the boat goes up, it bends over quite a fair bit. When the boat goes down, it'll pop up and the fish will just hit it on that free fall again. Okay, and because there's no current, you get the luxury of just having it straight over the side. It's not going to be out the back like that. So, except it may be square patch. How many guys here fish Brisbane, from Brisbane and fish Brisbane way? A few are. So do you guys do much this in the bay at all? Yeah, so around Harry Atkinson sort of area? Yeah. And how do you find the ball jigs there? That type of jig? No, give it a go. Give it a crack, guys. I know plastics are great there, but give that system a go. I know you don't have much waves there or rocking at the moment. At times you do. Yeah, how's the current been in there? Yeah, just normal. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And the other gentleman up Brisbane way, you fishing outside or inside, mate? On the outside, yeah. So a square patch area or? No, okay, so just in around the... Oh, okay, yep, okay. So do you guys get snapped on the wrecks, like a bull one and place like that?
I haven't, it's normally up
Yep.
the top there, the current's just a bit too much.
Right, okay, yep. Yeah, you're tied to Bennett, yep, okay. So yeah, because we're talking offshore, but it's a southerly current, it's not we don't really get tide currents, the water just goes like that. It doesn't go like that and down, does that make sense? It just rises up and down. So it's a different type of current. But once you come inside, it's dragged out. Yeah, it's different.
It makes it harder.
Yeah, it makes it harder, that's right, yeah. Especially smaller jig heads and stuff, yeah. Okay, there are other types of that type of system as well, like this sort of thing here. This is actually not a bad looking lure. So they're a cyst hook on a squid type metal head. So when you jerk it, it'll be a bit like your slow pitch type jigs where one side's sort of different shape bevel to the back side. So one side will slide and the other side will quiver. But at the same time, you've got this cyst skirt hanging off it, dragging it around as well with lots of action. So these things are super UV as well too, by the way. I had a look at it earlier, that one. Because when you're out fishing, you don't put a torch on to see which one's UV, you just throw it on there and drop it down, you know.
How do you tie that?
I'll just tie straight to that
Yeah, to the ring, mate.
Dacron, yeah. Or you can just use
Yeah,
a
I see that,
snap
okay.
and snap it on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know those, does anyone use that type of system, the mustard, or what we do in the instinct as well? Like a quick clip? Fast touch clip. They're really, really good and really, really strong. This is the best of the lot. The other ones are great for flatties and that, but once you get into the bigger stuff, I suggest to go the mustard one or a bit better quality. That's £50. You find they're good or no good, mate?
Yeah, they're all right.
They're good, yeah. Yeah, so they're £50, they're only very tiny, but you can quickly take off a soft plastic or that type of ball jig or whatever you want most of the time. The ball jig that has the loop coming through the top you can use, but the one that has the line going through the centre to the hooks won't work. Yeah. Okay.
Indispensable.
So guys, just getting back to our rods and reels. Sorry, Stuart's talking about before. So that's a 4,000 size reel. It's a P1 to 3 rod or 2 to 4 is good as well. And that's 20-pound braid and 30-pound leader fluorocarbon on there. We do an overhead version as well, which is this one here. So the Genpoo in the Shimano is a great little combo, and we sell lots of these little combos. So this, how many metres is this, Stu?
About 250.
Yeah, about 250 metres, a 30-pound braid. So this you could use out in the 50s as well, definitely, and would crank fish up to 10 kilos, no problem. And something like that's about $3.49 tonight on special, just so you know that. Yep, about 500 retail, a little bit over. Yeah, they're really, so it depends if you like overhead or spin. The beauty of spin is though, you can cast a lot easier, you can get distance. Overhead, if you're fishing shallower or no current, or you're backing up and just drop it straight down, works fine, okay? Some people just like overhead style. As we get more into this type of jig, we use a lot of overhead, which we'll talk about in a moment. But you can use the overhead on everything we talked about tonight so far. Yeah.
Are you casting the balls as far?
Yeah, same deal. Same deal. Yeah.
Are you putting this straight on the lure, like against the lure?
So that clips straight on it goes onto the ring on the front of the lure. Yep. Or if you just got a hard body or whatever, it just clips on the front. So the beauty of those little fast attach clips is that they have like a loop on the end, so where a knot's sort of fixed, that does allow a lot more action.
And you can just take it off easy.
Yeah, it's one turn.
You can go through your whole squid jig collection in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's about right, yeah. So guys, did you want me to put one of those on a lure and pass it around so you know how it works? Might be a good idea.
Here you go.
Oh, we got one here, Exhibit A. Again.
Do you actually find them not coming off? Because I do know they do come off in bites.
I haven't had one ever come off, not yet. Yeah, I do. But I haven't had it come off cricket, no. Yeah, don't do that, yeah. I don't know what you're doing wrong, but... Thanks, man. Okay, so any questions on those type of jigs at all, guys? So action-wise, sorry. Stu, do you want to show your action first, mate?
Oh yeah, either other.
Yeah.
I work one of those ball jigs very, very slow.
Sorry, guys, just for a sec. Let's pull a bit of line off. Okay. So Stewie's action may be different to mine, so I'll get him to show his action first.
So all I do is wind up so there's contact to the actual ball jig itself, and then I just go like a real long, slow lift. Once I get up to like fairly high, I kind of throw the rod tip down, and I wind up a bit of a slack, and do it again, very slow. And on the top of the second one, I kind of go crack, crack, and just whip that slack on the top. Like my thing is, if you look at a squid or anything moving, they travel quite slow and then they kind of dart off at the last second, you know? But that's what I do, yeah.
Yeah, and my actions, I like the spin in these type outfits. Mine's very simple, isn't it? But just Mine's a bit more boring. Oh. Just showing how, showing how good they are. So, guys, so yeah, as Stu said, cast up, take up the slack.
I never cast it, by the way.
I always cast it.
Yeah.
He's using overhead, that's why.
No, I always use spin, but you,
Oh, do you?
stitched me up.
You
Yeah.
spin.
Yeah.
You use overhead.
No, you spin, but anyway.
On
On that stuff. Yeah.
I thought you used a
Always
little
spin.
Saltiga.
Always use that.
So use that in the big one.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh well.
And
Okay.
I never cast it. The reason being is you get too many snags on this stuff if you drag it. So I always just pitch it just in front of the boat.
There goes our sails.
Done. You know? Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Stu.
That's all right.
That's enough for you, mate.
And
Okay,
the other
so-
thing is they sink a lot quicker than a plastic, so you don't have to throw it. Like there's no
Yeah.
reason.
You've been
Yeah.
fishing before, Ducky?
Just check the ice box, okay? Versus. So guys, I cast it up. I rarely get caught in the bottom. And yeah, I just take up the slack and I just do like a lift and a turn, and a lift and a turn. And then, as I said before, the third one up, I'll shake it and then drop it down, similar to Stu does. I said that first, by the way. Yeah, and then just generally when you shake it, as soon as you drop it, that's when I get the hit. And a lot of time you go to take up the slack, like when you're squid fishing, you take up the slack and sometimes they're just already on, they've got cooked up. As soon as they feel your tension, they'll take off. But other times when I'm casting it out, on the free fall, always leave the bar line open, it'll just flick out really fast when it gets down to the bottom. I know I'm hooked up straight away, just flick it back and you're on, you know. My suggestion is because you're only using 20, 30 pound braid, know your drag setting. Don't have it too tight, don't have it too loose. You need to know if that does hit the way down and it's quite an aggressive take up when you turn the bar alarm over, you don't want to snap your line. And you don't want it to be too loose and it'll brick you on the bottom because you're pretty close to the bottom at that point. Okay.
You keep the drag like that the whole time.
Oh, I'd be a bit tighter than that. I'll just loosen it off and finish fishing. But it'd probably be in that sort of area. That's quite tight. But it won't snap my line if it's a quick drag, a quick hit. You know? Yeah. Get a few fish and you'll work it out. Lose a few fish, you'll work it out quicker. Anyhow, that's it. Sorry about stitch up this, Jeff. So we don't fish very often together. Well, actually, we do fish a lot together, but we're so competitive, we don't look at each other. We're just concentrating. So we don't see what the others are using. Yeah. Anyhow, that's all good. I will just show you this, though. So this is the heaviest I'd use when I'm fishing out in that sort of 120 metre mark and just a bit bigger jig. So that's just a 4,000 with PE3.
4 on that.
4 of those.
Yeah.
Okay, so PE4, so that's 40 pound braid diameter, that's about 70 pound braid strain. And that jig there is about, I think 200 grams or 150 grams. 200. So that was actually a couple of weeks ago, it was pretty windy. So that's why I've upped the ante. Bit like before, Dave, if you have to up the ante, you have to do it just to get down. Still got to be in the zone. So just upscale everything if you have to get down. You can't really fish a 200 gram jig on 15 pound braid. Doesn't quite work that way. You'll need to go a bit higher. Yeah. But anyhow, that's about as heavy as you want to use, guys.
Would your action stay the same?
Exactly the same, mate. No difference. No different. Just a heavier gear.
What rating is the rod?
P4, I think.
P4, that one, yeah.
Sorry, guys. Good age. It's terrible. That's P5 actually. Yeah. But yeah, 4 or 5 in that bracket. So it's still got the soft. So when you're putting 200 grams on that rod, it's still going to do the same sort of scenario. Okay. Any question? Sorry.
What line do you have on that one?
P4, 700 metres, I think it is. I fish the deep. Yeah. Okay. Move. Any questions on the ball jigs at all? Okay, we're going
Factor on them too.
You can if you want to. Don't put it on the skirt because it actually clogs up a bit. Doesn't do the nice fiddly thing. Put it on the head, and maybe a bit on the
Assist.
the assist hooks where the braid is on there. Yeah, assist braid. Okay.
I throw a
Sorry.
bit of like fresh squid, just a little.
Yeah, okay. My son does that all the time, mate. It definitely works, buddy. Spot on. So that's like going across the road to the easy place to have a massage. Really good. That's like a hard guy to do it. It does help. It definitely helps. But yeah, exactly right, mate. Yeah. So if you're having a bit of a quiet day, and I didn't mention that, but good point. If you're having a quiet day and it's not happening, just spice it up a bit. If you've got some bait on the boat, but as I said before, sometimes when we go lure fishing, we just don't take any bait. But many times we hook up a slime or a yakka on these little jigs, and that may become what you're saying, mate. Comes to spice. Yeah. So good call. Okay. We're going to go now to slow pitch jigging. Okay.
Can we just do vibes real quick?
Oh, do vibes. Yeah, do vibes.
So
okay.
vibes, like, does anyone fish vibes for snapper? Very similar to ball jig style. So very slow. They work in the rod holder really well. They would cast up a little bit, not much, but a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
So with vibes, it's normally 2 hops. I do 2 hops. I'm used to. What do you do, mate?
Yeah, I kind of just
two lifts. I meant, sorry.
one slow lift or something like that. Maybe a little bit of sharp stuff up the top, but that's about it. Yeah. They work quite well. Just drifting in the rod holder. To be honest, a little bit of boat movement vibes it up a little bit. They've got a lot of action that you don't have to put in.
There's 3 sizes here. I'll pass these around. It's 3 coral trout colours there.
How are you doing the weights with the vibes? Is it similar to the jig heads?
They do have a bit more harder to sink fall rate. The beauty of vibes is the way that the heads that pulls them down that way, so that they're quite elongated that way. Where some of this type of jig here, it's centre weight or whatever, so it's slower. You need heavy to get down. Probably versus a jig head, I'd say they sink pretty good. I'd say now the same as a jig head.
Sink not bad, but they're very hard to fish in like over say 65 metres. Like I wouldn't fish one on the 50s. It's just too hard. Yeah.
Why is it?
Just because of sink rate and stuff like that. Because they don't really do, unless you're using like a Nomad one that's very heavy. But I don't reckon they vibe as good. Yeah. They're more just like a sinker with stuff on it, you know?
No, you're a gentleman. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, I haven't tried them yet actually.
Yeah, so you got to understand that a vibe, when it's heavy, and you got to use that heavy vibe, what you're saying, Stu, the action's on the lift, not the fall, because it falls too quick. Okay, so it's when you lift up, it's a drrrr feeling, is when they're gonna obviously get their attention, and as soon as it falls, then they'll hit it. So, but the action on the fall is going to be a slow swim down, but if it's heavy, it's going to be a fast swim down, which takes away that bit of that, like the enticement for the fish to want it. So it's going to be more the lift that's going to get their attention, and the falls is going to be an instinct grab thing. Where if you're using a lighter vibe and you do the lift, and when you drop it down, they sort of spiral around, they swim around. It's a lot different scenario. But as Stewie said, I don't think I've ever used a vibe in 100 metres yet.
No, I've used a vibe in 80 metres, and it took so long to get down, and just it was still like 60 grams, 70 grams. It was heavy, but it just took a long time to sink. Yeah.
They sort of they swim around, they swim down.
So they're preferable in shallow.
Yeah, I'd say 50 metres and under would be great, or 60 metres max maybe. If you're up on the reef, you're using at 60 metres. Sorry?
I fish a fairly soft rod, yeah.
Soft rod, yeah.
Yeah. More micro jig style, ball jig style, yeah. Unless it's like a really big vibe or something like that with massive hooks. So you got to think as well, with a stiffer rod, you can set a lot bigger hook. Whereas with that soft rod, you look at the hooks on that jig that's going around, they're tiny. So you only, like they're very thin, they go in very easy. You don't have to rip into it. So yeah, if your hooks, like if a lure comes with really big hooks, I always just take them off and put lighter hooks on because I'll fish a lot lighter gear. Just sinks a lot better.
Most of the wives got trebles anyway, don't they? So
Yeah. Sharp trebles.
What about the squid tricks?
Squid tracks, well, we haven't tried them yet because every time we get them, they've gone out the door. So we haven't had to keep one for ourselves. We always sacrifice for you guys. So,
squid tricks were.
they're really well. I know. Yeah, I know.
You can fish them any depth.
Yeah.
Like a bullet.
Yeah, they're quite heavy, Yeah, so even when we're like fishing flatties, guys, we're using a very soft rod for all our vibe stuff. So it's, as Stewie said, it's different to your soft plastics, different rod. And remember when Squidgy first brought out their vibe rod, it was quite a heavy rod. It was a complete opposite. I think that's all wrong. Yeah. Anyhow, that's all good. Any questions on the vibes at all? Okay. Metals. So there's so many different different slow pitch type jigs out now. Some are designed to be super slow, like a slow blat, which is like super fat, wide. I'll pass that around. And then you've got stuff that's sort of semi-wide, like that. So the wider it is, the slower it falls, the more action it has. It sort of will flip over and shoot, and then it'll flutter and shoot. If you go to a pool that's like 6 foot deep and you actually have time for it to see it fall, have a look at home what your jig does. Every jig has a different action. Some jigs have like a bevel on one side and a round on the other side. Some have like a hollow on one side and just a tight fin on the back. And every jig has a different fall or a different flutter. And I think they're always trying to outdo each other, all the jig brands that we have here. We have lots of different jig brands downstairs. But most of them have the same sort of action, but some of the crazy ones like slow blats and that, they're very different. There's another new one out from Jackson. Not Jackson, it's Jack-Eye. What do we call it?
Hayabusa.
Yeah, Hayabusa. These are good. We didn't have these last season, but we've got them now. I reckon they're going to be really good in the snapper in close. Yeah, and the UV as well. So you can see that. Can you guys see that there, guys, down the back? If you hit it with the UV, can you see the highlight? So I'm probably missing it. Can you see that? Hang on, I'll do it this way. There we go. I need to turn the light off. Do you mind hit that switch there, buddy, if you don't mind? Okay, good. Can you see that now? Okay, so it's enhanced. Thanks a lot, mate. Okay, so while I've got this off, I'll do a couple other things for you. So a lot of them, it's on the assist hooks as well. Okay, and obviously underneath. And the beauty of a black light, or what we're going to call it, UV light, is it just makes the glow really quick glow. To give you an example of that, well, that's pretty well glowing already. But if I hit it with the torch, just one white down it, you see the difference? It's very quick, and it lasts quite a while too. Yeah, exactly right, especially in a bit deeper water. A lot of jigs have like that sort of effect. Again, it just enhances it. And I'll just show you that red one again before. That was the red one before. See how green it is now? So it's completely changed. We can't see that, but that's apparently how they can see it. I think. I don't know who asked them, but someone did. So, that's that green one before that you guys have got in your bag, that sort of colour. It's very UV.
It seems like there's two different things there. There's like a UV blacklight thing, but there's also a glow.
Yeah, so it's
some
like...
things were glowing and other things were...
Yeah, that's right. So UV glow, some are glow enhanced. Like this fellow here, this is the nuclear chicken colour in the Z-Man, in the 7-inch job. So it's got a little bit of glow to it, but if you hit the UV, it's super, but it doesn't really glow much, right? But it's really UV enhanced. So we get something like this fellow here. This is also a Z-Man in a glow. That's a glow colour there, mate. So obviously it doesn't have much UV colour, but it has a super glow colour, so it glows up. So there's glow, there's UV glow, and there's UV. So there's actually 3 spectrums to look at. But a lot of it, these are ball jig heads, which are catchy ones. You can see some are UV and some aren't. Okay? So it's all relative to the colour, I guess. Some are the skirt and the head's UV. Doesn't glow, but super UV. This is that squid that went around before. So the head's actually UV and glow, and even though it looked brown, that's the colour with the glow and UV in it. So quite different. It's probably ready, I think. Oh, that's the kawaii ones I said about. We just got to change the skirts, but they're super UV as well.
Do you use any of them at night?
UV is, unless it's a glow part, it's good at night. But UV itself doesn't make any difference. No, it doesn't work. No.
There's
It's
no
a-
like light for it to reflect off, so
Yeah.
yeah.
You've got to charge it yourself, haven't you?
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You could glow stuff you can put up underneath the light, like a fluoro light if you don't have a black light, and
How
it'll
long do they glow for? On average?
it depends on the quality of the product. So some will glow for maybe 15, 20 minutes, and others won't glow one drop, 5 minutes, and they're gone dark again. One secret glow is like this looks green, but actually glows blues on that kawaii jig, which is this one here, and it's a blue glow. So blue glow is by far the best glow of all the glow colours. Oh, sorry, it turned around then. Sorry. It's really, really good colour. Yeah, it's used UV on everything, guys. So, but some stuff there's no UV. Like that's a white incubator. It's not UV. That's just the colour of the light on there. It definitely sticks it.
Does that make it more like enticing to snap the bite at night?
That's a good question. So at night time, I don't use many lures for snapper. I'll go to bait fishing myself. I'm also going to be doing it. I haven't caught snapper on jigs at night, I don't think.
Yeah.
Caught other fish. Caught pearlies at one time on jigs at night. But generally speaking, on bait fishing, I've got the jigs in and the bait's out, you know. And thanks very much for that, matey. Thank you. Thanks, Robbie.
For them to smell.
It's a hard one. I think the lures just are less visible during the night compared to day. And if you're using Lumo ones, you might have a bit of a chance, maybe. Again, I'm using a lot of Lumo tube and Lumo beads on my bait, so I guess it's an attractant.
100 metres in the day, water's pretty dark.
It is. It's, so the spectrum starts to drop out at about 100 metres. 120 is actually dark. So there is a thing I think put out by Nomad, I think it was, with the squid tricks. Did anyone see that on YouTube and that where it falls into the darkness and you see it change colours, UV spectrums changing, and then it just went to Lumo because it hit that point where it was just dark. So I guess it's the same.
Vibes are better at night time.
Sorry, mate, bait.
Vibes over like normal size.
Vibes. Some that probably has a bit of a pulse action would be better, I dare say, in shallow water, because it's got the sonic vibration. Rattle vibes would probably be better again because of the noise. But I don't know about what's happening recently, but I know you could snap up in the bay, guys, at night time. But down here, lures at night. Yeah. So down here at night time, they just switch off. They switch off lures.
We've found that.
You found that too?
Yeah, with
Yeah.
lures,
Yeah.
with jigs and stuff.
Yeah.
As soon as it's dark.
And go to bait, you start catching them.
The moon comes up
Yeah.
and then they go.
Yeah. Yeah. So my suggestion would be to use bait at night. Yes,
You
ma'am.
mentioned something earlier. Can the fish hear the sounder?
Okay, so this is a debatable one too. I think they do hear it because if you've ever been swimming underwater with your sounder on in the broadwater or something like that, you hear it bom, bom, bom,
You
bom,
can
bom.
hear it in the garage.
Yeah, you can hear it.
Yeah.
It's true, mate. Exactly. Off the concrete, exactly right.
Especially if you use like 1 kilowatt, you can hear it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
1 kilo, you put earplugs in. But and 3 kilowatt, well, you hide. You'll get zapped. But I think sometimes the fish, I believe the fish would be like sharks. It's a dinner bell. And I used to fish with a pro fisherman part-time on my time off. I had time back about 20 years ago. And when things are quiet, he'd turn the sounder on. And he had 2 kilowatt. And he'd say, time to wake them up. And he'd go and turn the sounder on. Next minute, all the lines moving. They'd be on. They come. Yeah, like puppy dogs. Yeah, so I know sharks do the same, unfortunately. Sharks know sounder pinging and they know the sound of prop or motor. That's right, they know it. So on the day, though, when things are a bit quiet, it may be best to turn it off. Yep. Okay, so any questions on the... Oh, we haven't done these jigs yet. We've got to do the jigs, sorry. So if you're fishing super light, 10-pound braid or 15-pound braid, you can go down really small like that. They go right down. We got them downstairs to about 2 grams, but that thing's about 15, I think. But generally speaking, it's a similar. It's like 100 grams, 100 metres. 80 grams, 80 metres, 100 metres. So there's all different shapes and sizes, and as I said before, as I was saying before, this is actually a classic example. So this one here I'll pass around, this is cast jig. So cast guys are pretty good at designing the jigs. So curve one side and it's got a sharp bevel on the other side. I'll pass this around. You see what I'm talking about? Like that too. So that one side's designed to, so how slow pitch works is when you do the slow pitch up and you drop it, the fall can be like the long type jigs, as in, like getting back to the traditional type shape, they just shoot away. They shoot, they don't flood it so much, they just shoot away. And that's what gets the fish going, because they go to grab it and all of a sudden it shoots over there, and they get mad and they grab it harder. Where these type of things here, they shoot and then they get to a certain point, they roll over and then they'll flood it a little bit, okay? And that's the design of a slow pitch type jig. I recently did a trip up to the Swains on Big Cat. Has anyone done that trip yet? Yep. If you haven't, do it. It's really good. This jig here we used, which is a mustard wingman. That was like, just smashed the Reef fish. I'm going to hang and dry it on the sapper, because everything we used up there, that colour, that one just absolutely done it. And that's full UV, everything, and glowing. Again, it has the flat side and it has a concave side. The action was extremely good, but 2 fish at a time, hook either end, fish either end. Did people ask, do you put the hooks on the bottom of jigs out here in the Reef? Like, yeah, you get caught in the bottom, like Stu was saying before.
Yeah, I think.
But it's a buzz to get 2 fish on one door.
Slow pitch, you can definitely put 2 hooks on. If you're going to try to fast fish in it, you can't do it. They tangle up and they throw that back hook up and stuff like that.
Does that make sense, guys?
But yeah.
Yeah, so if you drop it 100 metres and you do first jig up and it gets hooked up, the swings around, gets hooked up, you got a long wind up, don't hook it. So, so slow pitch is a different action, it doesn't get the chance to do that, mate.
I found with the Pearlies, I was catching a lot of them on the bottom hooks.
On the bottom hooks, mate,
Yeah, the last time I went out, I just used the top, because like I was getting caught up a fair bit.
Yeah,
So
in
I
wire
just
weed.
used the top, and I still got some, but I don't think we got as many.
Yep.
Depends how they're feeding on the day. Hey, like some days you catch them all on the top and some days you catch them all on the bottom.
Yeah.
I think it's just, if they're aggressive and they inhale it, yeah, that's true.
That's true, yeah,
It's
that's
better
true.
like that out here, but yeah.
How important is a slow pitch rod and reel?
100%. So you can't have a stiff type rod when you're using slow pitch type jigs. It doesn't work. The idea of it is so when you lift up, the lure flicks up and then it pulls the tip down. Does that make sense? So like spring action. That's how the action's got to be, and it flutters back down again. Pop it up and it flutters back down again. I don't know about still what you reckon, but
yeah, same.
You get the rhythm happening, and the rhythm happening is very important.
Same rod. So yeah, that's it. And like a lot of the time, you're not moving the rod a lot. You're just winding the reel. So a quarter, a full turn on the reel, and that's enough to load that rod and spring that jig up. Gives it the action.
You've got to have that soft tip rod.
So what sort of rod do you use for that one?
Same type. Yeah, same type. Yeah, or overhead style. So this type of jig I'm not casting at all. I'm just dropping it straight down the bottom. It's the only one I don't cast.
You're having it back up and it's staying one spot all the time.
Yep, you do.
Yeah, as soon as these go out.
Yep,
Yeah,
that's right.
straight up and down.
That's right. It's got to be straight up and down. Correct. So that's the trouble with slope. That's why the longer type fast jigging like we use for kings and amberjack, you can actually, they always they just shoot down all the time. Even a bit of current, they'll still be pretty well down in the area. These things have a habit of straying away all over the joint. As I said, they sort of roll over and they kick away. So you have to back up. Yeah.
Yeah, I still find I'll just stay on the spot and cast up a bit, so by the time the current...
Oh, a little bit. Yeah, we'll flick it away from the boat, from here to the back wall maybe.
And then by the time it's down, it's straight.
Yep.
If you're trying to fish light and deep, it just gets...
Can't do it. Blows out the back.
Yeah, and it's very, very hard to fish bait and lures together.
Yeah.
Okay, so you either go to say, other guys, we're jigging today, or we're bait fishing. If you try and mix the two, there'll be fights.
Yeah.
You go, so maybe You know each other pretty well, I don't know. But the problem is the guys that are bait fishing will want you to back up, or the guys that are bait fishing actually using heavy things, sorry, they'll be the other way around. They'll be straight down. The guys with the lures at the back will be way at the back, and I'll say back up, back up, back up. The guys going, no, stop, 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 my line's already down below, it's going in front of the boat. And so it becomes a hassle.
Bit of patience, eh?
A bit of patience, yeah.
You work it out. You
Yeah,
work out
yeah.
it's down
Go
first.
first.
If you got two of you, it's okay. Three's a hassle.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. I talk to myself too, so I tell myself to back up now.
I found too that you changed, like you were saying before, the profiles of jigs. If you have
Yep.
a slow light,
Yep.
it's too slow.
Yep, correct.
It doesn't matter
Correct.
how much weight you put on it. So you've got to, if you're using a slow jig, you've got to use the right profile to get down on the boat.
That's exactly what I was saying before. So check it out in the pool or jump in the water and have a look, whatever it might be. Clear water. See your slow fall. That's that group. That's your fast fall, and that's your like throwaway ones which go all over the joint, which are not really no current, no windows, and they'll just sort of they'll work in the area, but they'll be all over the place. So that's your three sort of categories you got to have. And if that's really hard, you got to go to just a conventional type that goes straight down, and do that style. So we've got a bit of current and a bit of wind. You just go to a straight, non-beveled side, non-flat, just a long skinny one, okay?
Do they still work as good for Pearlies?
Yeah, they work very good. Yeah, they do. Yeah, we still do well on those. But 100%.
You work it slower, but
Yeah.
That out of all the Pearly ones that are here, this is the go.
Yeah, right.
Trust me, the ball jig. Have you used ball jigs yet?
No, I took
No.
this last time, but didn't use it.
Yeah.
So
the go.
I've used the squid type jigs
Yeah.
and haven't had much success down
Right.
here,
Yep.
but I've had success up north,
Right. Okay.
Turkey Beach.
Oh, yep.
Good success there with the squid type jigs, but never the ball ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right.
Yep. No, they're good. Yep. Okay. So, any questions on that at all, folks? All good on that? Okay. Cool. Okay. So trolling. So, well, actually, before I'll do one more thing on the soft plastics. I know tonight's predominantly on snapper and a little bit on pearlies, but if you want to catch dew, that's when you do use those big paddle tails. So you'll catch dew on those if you went out maybe, I can't say you will, but say the blocks or the 18 fathom reef in the daytime, early morning, sort of between 7 and 9, or on a tide change or 2 hours after high, whatever, using something like that. I'll pass these around with a sort of decent jig head in it, probably about a 3/4 or an ounce. And you're doing a big long lift and letting it swim back down again, and slow removing it and dropping it back down again, then shaking a bit and then drop it back down again. And those big jewies, if they're stacked up on the sound, will just jump all over it. So that's when you do use a big paddle tail. You only fish it in generally 25 metres max, and it allows you to use such a big tail because it's not going to get much windage.
Do they move around much down the Gold Coast, the Jew? Like, do they just swim around?
Yeah, in circles.
Circle?
Yep,
Yeah.
100%. Yep.
Because I found like if you see them, like if they're on the sand
Yep.
and they're there, you've got to bounce straight away.
Yeah, so if you're on spot locked on an area, you'll be on top of them,
Yeah.
and next minute goes blank.
Yeah.
And then you'll think, oh, I'll just wait a bit longer, and then next minute they'll come back into the sounder again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think they fold the bait around a little bit as well.
They
And-
take jigs too, but
They take jigs really well. Yeah, and they take these things. Octo jigs are very good for them. Yeah, very, very good. Yeah. But again, lip hooked. And you got to remember, that, like, if you get a 1 metre 32, which might be around 18 kilos or 20 kilos, you're only using 30-pound braid. So even though those hooks are tiny, you can't put enough pressure on to break them or bend them. So it's going to take a while to get the jewie up, but when you do get him up, it'll be on his belly up, he'll be tied. So where traditionally for jewies, a lot of guys that use a 20,000 Saragossa and 80-pound braid and rip into it. You can do that with that big plastic, but you can't do that with those sort of things. Yeah. You guys know that though. Anyhow, just sort of throw that in. But getting back to using downriggers and trolling over rocks and stuff like that. So unfortunately, at the Gold Coast, unless you go down that way, what's the gentleman's fishes down there? Gentleman, sorry, mate. Unless you're down that way, which I don't want to send guys down, too many guys down in Reef, mate. Or maybe on Sevens Reef or off Point Lookout area, or further up off Moreton. And then definitely off the Sunshine Coast, and further north you go, the more better it gets. Further south you go, get down around Walleye or even Coffs, even back up to Red Rock, wherever that area is down there. You've got all those rocky patches out very close to the shoreline They're just full of big snappers time of year. So, and trolling lures, snapper love troll hard bodies. They love it. So my suggestion would be to keep it no bigger than about probably 120 mil. Try and keep it around 100 to 120 mil. If you're using a downrigger, I wouldn't use a deep dive. It keeps pulling out of the clip or out of your rubber band. Rubber band's not too bad, but it puts a lot of pressure on it and it works too hard. So generally if you're using a downrigger, you're using a shallow dive that doesn't pull much to it on the clip. Okay. I'll pass a couple around to show you what it means. Sue's got that one there. So drop them back about, if you're fishing in say 20 metres, well, out here we're fishing on the diamond reef, so around about 45 metres deep, 43 metres deep. The drop backs are around about anywhere between 10 and 15 metres. Yeah, back. You've got to remember if you're got a little bit of deep dive, not much, a little bit one, it'll still get down another 2 or 3 metres, so you need to set your ball up higher. So most of those bigger snapper are generally saying 45 metres deep, they'll be down around about 25 to 33, 35 metres maybe. So maybe 8 metres off the bottom. So I would have my ball set at probably around 28 metres or 25 metres, and my lure will be sitting around 28 or 30 maybe in the zone. I'll come up to it, don't worry about that. Easy. If you're trawling like the gentleman here in that sort of 8 to 12 metres of water, you want to use a lure similar to this one here, which we'll pass around, at the smaller size, and this one probably at the bigger size. These are the ones guys coming around now, got the bigger bibs on them. So they'll get down around about sort of 6 to 8 metres, Stu.
What sort of speed?
About 2 knots. Yeah,
Slow.
slow. 2 knots max, actually. Yeah, idle speed, yeah. Do you work your rod, mate?
No, I just try and go as slow as I can.
Slow as you can, yeah. Yeah, yep. Troll with the current, or you just troll on the edge, it's parallel with the waves? Parallel with the waves, yep, yep, yep.
Do you always go to the current when you try?
Generally speaking, I think fish sit more in that area wherever the waves are going to be. If they get the odd swell, it might break or stand up a bit. They'll be facing into it, I dare say, more than sitting into the current. But when you're up north and you're fishing pressure points and that, and trolling lures, they're always facing into the current. Yeah. Yeah. But we don't get the current out here like you do up there, so different scenario. So you're dropping yours back about 30 metres, mate?
Yeah.
Round about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So walking speed, 30 metres back, under 15 metres of water, 20 metres of water. If you're in 20 metres, only get down about 6 or 8, they'll come up from down the bottom up to that, grab that.
So how do you run a downrigger for it though?
If you run a downrigger, so you obviously using about if you're using say a Canon or whatever style it is, around about an 8-pound ball or 10-pound ball, same as you do for Spanish mackerel. And I run a rubber band on the line, even though it's only a very thin braid. I'm going to use a size 16 band, so it breaks quite easy. So 16 band. So you drop your lure out, let's say 15 metres or 20 metres first, and then attach your band to your line. Just hold one end of it and wrap it around the line, the braid, around about 8 times or 9 times, 10 times. Go back through the first loop and pull it up. And then your end of your ball, if you've got a clip on these, clip onto the band. If you don't run a clip, run a piece of heavy Dacron on 130 pound or something like that, and just do a hitch onto the rubber band. And then overheads are the go on the spin, because spin's very hard to hold when you drop them down together. So use an overhead, you can put your thumb on it, and you just release the downrigger and take your thumbs, just feather it, and with the ratchet on, it's not a bad idea. And they go down together, and you're watching the gauge, or you can see on the sounder generally as well. And when it gets to that, say, that 28 metre depth we want, so it hits 28 metres, you then wind the handle up and lock in your downrigger, and then you wind up the rod, slack on the rod till the rod actually takes nearly the weight of the ball. That's the secret. So don't have your rod loose, have it tight. Not quite the weight of the ball, but nearly. So it's really tight, the rod's like that. It's when the rod pops off that you've got the hit, not bends over. Okay, and then generally got a little bit of slack there, a bit of fallback, because it's like that shape. So you need to get up as quick as you can. And it'll also be running for the reef, so you got to pull it out. So mackerel are different. They don't run for the reef. They stay up top, so they're easy. So the snapper, it's a bit trickier, especially big ones. You get any good ones at all, mate?
Yeah.
Yeah, like 70s?
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
I find that that's my
Yeah. Yeah. So if you go to Downrigger, guys, I definitely suggest trawling the 18s and 24 fathom reefs and doing exactly what I just said. Trawl early morning, late afternoon, and keep your lures more the shallower type with the smaller bib rather than the bigger bib, like the first two went around, and give it a crack. Yeah.
You ever tried trolling soft plastics?
For flatties, we've caught the odd fish doing that, but not so much snap. I haven't never tried it. Paddle tail would probably the go, I dare say, because you've got more action while it's getting trawled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know they work good on the dams with barrel.
Oh, okay, yep.
Trolling plastics.
Yep. Yeah, they use mainly paddle tails as well, so yeah. Yeah, so when you're casting plastics, obviously like I said before, fork tail's the best, but when there's no current, paddle tail's really good, and when you're maybe trawling, paddle tail. Yep. Yeah. Any questions on that at all, guys, on the Downrigger side? Okay, just a few tools of the trade. We talked about this last seminar. How many guys spike their fish at all? In Brain. The quality is so much better in every fish you catch, whether it be a tail or whether it be a cod, it doesn't matter. It's just incredibly better. So I suggest learning to brain spike. There's a app out, which I keep forgetting them. It's an Icky Spike, I think it's called. Oh, is that it? Okay, there you go. Icky Pick. Is that it? Yeah. Okay, something like that. Ikijimi, sorry, Ikijimi. Ikijimi. Ikijimi? That's it, Ronnie. Thanks, mate. So Ikijimi, it shows you it's a free app, I think. Oh, it might be $5, so I can't remember. It's cheap. It's nearly free. It's just pay. So sorry, guys. So it's called Ikijimi, and it is the best app around, and it shows every fish in detail, exactly where to spike it, whether it be a snapper or a jew or a cod or whatever it might be, and then it shows like a 3D skeletal picture where the brain is which way to angle to put it on. Okay, and it is by far the way you should go with all your fish. Okay, it's the spike. Yes, mate.
What about keeping them alive in a...
Yeah, keeping them alive as well is not too bad, but it's not too bad this time of the year, but summer's definitely not suggested because the water gets too warm and they actually start to cook. Not they start to cook, but they just don't really as good. Live well, like this time of the year I do it for pearlies because they upgrade, and pearlies are very, very good to sustain, to go back down, they go hard down. So we'll upgrade our pearlies sometimes, 1 for 1. Okay, you're only allowed 4 pearlies per person, so don't have 12 pearlies in there and you still catch them, you know. So 1 for 1, but when the right one comes along, we spike it and put it in the slurry. But yeah, just keep it alive well if you want to do upgrading. Yeah. But I'll pass that tool around. It's really good. They're 30% off as well, guys. Another tool, I'll just show you this. That's actually just a cheaper blue light that we sell, that one going in there before, and it's quite good. I think they're around about, with your discount, they're under $10. This one here is a flash version and a lot better quality and produces a lot more UV light. It's like a cream UV light, if that makes sense. It's like one bulb, but it's very, very bright. Okay, not that I want to blind you guys, but it really glows things up. Can't see because the light's turned on. But the other beauty of this light here is it's metal as well, but it has a feature on the back here for doing, if you do FG knots or whatever knots you do, it actually has a
Says push on and up.
glasses. I think it's true. There you go. It has a little burner for burning of knots on the end here. Okay, you just drop the knot in the end there. It's not a taser, can't do your mate, so you might want to, if you had a few drinks, you could try it. But it's a great thing for just finishing off your knots, okay? Really good tool. I'll pass that around as well. They're a bit dearer though. The other one's less than $10. That one there works out about $35 with the discount, $34. Other tools, we've looked at Braid. Fillet knives, guys, make sure you got a decent fillet knife. Snapper are quite deep in the fillets, as you know, and you want something at least 20 centimetres in the depth of the fillet, more for skinning than filleting. Filleting, you can sort of work your way down the fillet, but skinning, you can't use a short blade to skin very well. Okay, something that's a bit decent size. We've done that. Stu, anything else you want to add to that, mate? Oh,
No, I don't think so.
I've got a special on these two, the catchy ones, which are great jigs as well. They come with 6 jig heads, 6
Skirts.
skirts. So there's 3 lots of 2 skirts in there, and the catchy box, which you just drop your jig into, and it doesn't roll around low the joint. I think they're down to about $50 for 6. That works out less than $10 a jig, so they're pretty cheap. And this will run through our stuff here. Stu, what else we got, mate?
Just the spin one.
The spin one, so spin soft plastic, slow pitch jig one, which you use for your ball jigs and your slow pitch jigs and vibes, that combo is about $500. It's a Nasty on the rod and it's spilled with 300 metres of braid, coloured braid. It's $349, is it? $349. And the overhead version is the same price with the Gen 2 on it, with 200 metres. We'll have these downstairs, you can have a look. And the soft plastic one, we got a special on that too. So this is one we did last week. It's a 5,000 Marival, so a little bit. Oh, we got Nassies too, haven't we?
I think we just got them.
Oh, we Marival.
Might have one Nassie.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Marival, which is the model above the Nassie. 300 metres of braid on a Squidgy's soft plastic rod. And I think they're around 500 retail as well, but I think it comes down to $299.
No, $329 for that one.
$329, sorry. Sorry.
It's $299 with a Nassie.
$299 with the Nassie, sorry. $299 with the Nassie, $329 with the Marival. And everything else 2% off, except for reels. There's someone zapped. Did you get zapped?
I was trying to turn the light on, I got zapped.
Sorry, sir, complaints department got home.
Got a sign on it.
That's all right, Ron. Yeah, you're right. So guys, at the end of the day, make sure, one last thing, you've got to have a good tool. Just have good sets of scissors. You never enough scissors. I know it sounds like ladies haberdashery if you call it, but we need scissors. So you want a pair of scissors that cuts braid by the millimetre when you're cutting it. Just clean, without even holding it, just like clean. So a good couple pair of scissors. And that's about the only housekeeping you need to know. Bag-wise, the fish bags are probably our go-to these days more than eskies because they're more convenient. You can keep it folded up in front of the boat, bring it out when you need it. Can't keep it folded, so 3 bags of ice in it though. But that's how ours always is. But you can fit a good size snapper or whatever in there, okay? The fishing, how many guys here use a sock behind the boat for drifting? A few of you do? Yeah, so we sell those now too. We sell a big one, it's like, I don't know how big it is, quite big. They definitely do a boat up to about 7 metres, 8 metres. I think they're on special, they're $129, but I think it's about $75 or something like that. But they're quite a good one, quite a heavy one. There's thin ones and there's heavy, strong ones. And I think that's about it. Sorry? Oh, marks. Okay, the marks. Oh my gosh. There's no sheet in there. There's no more sheet in there.
See the login details for you.
It's not dead yet.
Exactly right. So guys, you got this weekend, you got 4 days, 4 fish, okay? It's as good as it comes. I don't know about windy fish, thanks Dave, fish thing anymore. Is that the same one? That's not the same one, is it? Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's the better one.
Put that one away. Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Ronnie. So thanks, Dave. So you got 4 fish, which is the best bite that comes. We've been working on the windy one for a while, and it's been fairly good. But last couple of times it hasn't worked for us. So last weekend was meant to be fairly good, and wasn't very good. Did you guys do all right last weekend?
Oh, we went outside. Nothing but size, like just me.
Yeah, lots of little stuff, right? Yeah.
We did really well on Sunday.
Did you? I think someone did.
Down Tweed, 50.
Oh, down Tweed. Okay, yeah. The kingfish as well.
We give up down here.
King is an amberjack.
No, didn't get any kingies or amberjack, unfortunately.
Thanks, Tom. Snapper? I think trag, yeah, it's a trag all day. Yeah, yeah, good. Heat's bonito there at the moment. They're monster ones out wide too. Are they down there? Yeah.
Just on the 75, so like 75 centimetres.
Yeah, yeah, lots of them. Yep. Yeah, I lost one the other day. Yep. Yeah, that's good. So I'll lead us into the next seminar. I'll just quickly tell you before we go to here. Our next seminar is on fast jigging. So we're sort of keep the ball rolling. So it's King's, Amberjack and Samson. One of our customers got a nice Samson today, actually, metre 10, I think it was, to be in the report. Next, 2 Thursdays away. The 29th. Yeah.
So you're going to be a special guest?
No. So guys, I'm just going to go quickly through the marks here. It's really important you understand this. Glasses on. So folks, okay. So under 50 metres, we'll start there. So most of you guys that have boats that are, say, 4.5 metres or under, this will be, and I do it my own self too, this is the main hangout. I've done a lot there for you, okay? So you're starting just north of Jumping Pin and working your way right down to sort of off sort of surface area, okay? And depth-wise, you've got some marks there that are in about 30 metres deep, 32 metres deep, and some marks that are out in about 52 metres deep. So it's sort of all over the joint, all the way down. Does that make sense? So give them a crack. As I said, my biggest snapper have come in from under 50 metres deep off the Gold Coast. Every year, it's always under 50 metres deep. I've caught the odd 10, 11 kilo one out in the 50s, but odd. But in close, we've caught lots of big ones. So my suggestion would be to look at that sort of area. The next one, the under 70 metres, again, if your boat's 4.5 metres, it's only 20 k's out to 36s. On weather like this at the moment, it's not too bad. You don't want to get down to Westerly when it's blowing on 15 knots, so you don't get there if the swell's over a metre, 1.2 metres. In a small boat, it's a bit dodgy, okay? So your boat really needs to be about 5 metres to do it on a bit of rough day. So again, 27.48, you're looking just south of Jumping Pin, and then it goes right down to 28.10, which is off Tweed. So it's all in that sort of 65 to 68 metre mark. Is that all right? The under 100 metre ones, I've got some marks here where I get my best snapper. I actually stopped there Thursday last week I was there as well. We went out deep and stopped on the snapper marks on the way out. It's loaded with snapper. Oh my God, there's 35 and 30, well actually 35 marks I went to. The first one was just under 100 metres. It's about nearly 2/3 of the way up North Stratty from here. So it's a fair way up. It's about 55k run. And it just drops from sort of 83 to 88 really quick. And they were just stacked on there. And but they didn't bite. We didn't got a bite. We just got a fish. I was devoed. There's no current, straight down. So it was really hard. But they're there, so I'm going to hit them again next time I go north. The one just below it's about 4 miles south of it. It's also the 27.39 mark. It's also a very good spot for big snapper. So that's where we get like sort of consistent 80 centimetre ones out there on plastic, on everything actually. I don't use the ball jigs out there as much. I use more plastics or slow pitch vibes. The ball jigs I use out in deeper water where I get snapper and pearlies, okay? Or I use them in closer. The ones down further south, sort of 27.44 is straight off Jumping Pin. 27.46 is just south of Pin. 27.47 right near it. 27.49 is getting around, 27.47 is around FAD 13, I think, that area. And then 28.01 is the spot that we fish on the outside edge of the Kingy Reef. It's a spot in about 120 metres. So we get really big pearlies there, and we get good snapper there as well, and we get the odd big Kingy there. That's about 43 k's, 42 k's east of the seaway. So that's at 2801, 153.49. It's actually over 100 metres actually, sorry guys. That's 120 something, 28 or something. The under 100 metres, fourth one from the bottom in that category, 2804. 2801, sorry, and 04. They're both in the same parallel. Then you come back in a bit. That 2808 is one of my best Pearly spots. Get snapper there too, but we've caught Pearlies there with my mate Jason 2 years ago. Got them there. We've got 2 over 70, 74 and a 76 centimetre Pearly, which is like 7 kilo Pearlies. They're monsters. So that slow pitch jigging is really good for that. 2810, that one there is sort of outside edge of deep southern. Pearlies and snapper there as well, and the 13 is the same deal. It's on the bottom end of deep southern. Under 100 metres deep amberjack. So I just threw that in there, guys. You do catch amberjack and kingy slow pitch jigging as well. I wouldn't ball jig with those for those sort of fish because you're not going to get them up on 20 or 30 pound braid. I don't think. I don't mind you trying because you're probably going to re-spool. But you won't get them up, I don't think. They're just too hard. They go too hard, Stu. Like we slow pitch jig for them out in that sort of 100 to 280 metre mark, and we use a P4, and even just like 10 or 20 kilo ones, they're hard to get up, even on that sort of size. So yeah. But yeah, the marks are there, guys. So you got some off the jumping pin, some down off tweed, and the Pearlies. Although I just mentioned a few Pearly marks there under 100 metres, but that under 100 metres deep Pearlies, they're probably too much information for you guys, but they're 5 of my best Pearly marks. Okay, so give them a crack.
What would be your plan of the best Berley marks?
So Graham just asked what's my plan of attack for the weekend if I was going to go out. I'd check which is the better day. If I only got one day to go, I'd choose which day is better, Saturday or Sunday weather-wise. I think at this stage, which was, I think Saturdays are 10 knots and yeah, a little bit, and then Sunday. Thank you, gentlemen, mate. Thank you. Good man. And Sundays 10 knot variable, so it's a little bit better.
What time is it?
The bite time's midday this weekend, like 11 to about probably 1:30, 2 o'clock. So you'll get a morning bite on the daylight bite. Obviously, definitely in close, you get more of a daylight bite. And then if you hang out there, you'll get a really good bite between 11 and about 1 or 2, maybe.
Where are you reading the? You said it was like a 4-fish day. Or something.
Yeah, so 4-fish day. If you jump onto Fishing Reminder,
Fishing reminder.
It's called, and it goes from A to Z on the fish bite, as well as other things too. It's quite a good app.
Fishingreminder.com.
Fishingreminder.com. Yep, that's it.
What are you looking for on the sound when you're looking for Berleys in that 80?
So Pearly's a little bit different here. Good question. Definitely not that.
No, because
You get little ones in that.
I sort of thought they sat up a bit, not down.
Yeah, they do both.
Yeah.
So if I'd be going on the slope, my first run. So say this is 90 metres here, and it's going down on the slope because it's out before that. The slope is quite gradual, like that. And when you get to about 88, it's a little bit rise there, 85, then it just drops down quite aggressively in comparison. And on that fall, we might be in, say that's 0 to 140 or whatever. You might have a little bit of a rise here like that, little bump, and then it'll just keep going down again. That's all you need to see, because imagine that's 0 to 140, so you really see that side zoomed in, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then once I see that, I'll mark it on my GPS, so it's this mark here. And then I'll turn the boat around. Instead of going in that direction, I'm now going to go this way. I'm going to run along it. And the whole scenario changes. So now we're in, we split the screen, 0 to 140. So the 120 is the depth where the fish were, where some of the fish were where the rough bottom was.
Yeah.
So my bottom now is that little bit bumpy sort of thing. Not much. But it's more, that colour gets a bit thick, okay? And on this side over here, I've got it zoomed in between, say, I don't know, 90 and 120 down here, so that's right down the bottom here now. So now that little bit there comes along and all of a sudden it'll look like that. Okay, then it'll drop off again and it might be a little bit more here and a little bit more there like that. And that's the wireweed.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like stuck on little rocks, little gravel.
I pulled some up, yeah.
You pulled some up, yeah. So the pearlies, if they're on the bite, they'll be out of the wireweed, and they'll be like this. They come up as dots a fair way up. Maybe in 90s, 120, they're probably going to be around 110 to 100 in that sort of category area. There's quite a few. They're just dots. They're not arches. They're just dots. Yeah, looks like that. On the days when they're, and there might be some more obviously over here too, but on the days when you don't see them, you know the wireweed's there, but they're actually in here. Yeah, and it's not until you drift through. Once you get them happening, or that bite time's about to happen, all of a sudden the next drift they'll just be like that on the sounder. They'll start appearing. Yeah.
Will you see that clarity on a transducer less than 1 kilowatt?
Yes, 100%.
Right.
Yeah, and run it at 200 hertz as long as you can.
Yeah, right.
And then when it starts to get a little bit scratchy, like little gaps in it sort of thing, you want to then switch it to 50 kilohertz.
Yeah.
Or I think it's 83 that some of them are now. Yep. Yep, and that'll become enhanced. But you need to look at no more than a 30-metre window. 20 is better. Yeah.
In that zoom.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. Otherwise, you won't see it. You'll just see like a little tiny little bit of extra fuzz. Yeah.
Is there any way you find to get rid of the rats and get the sort of
No, they're part of the parcel. Yeah. Feel like when you deep drop in, you get the green eye sharks. You can't get rid of them. Look, on the ball jigs, we get them all sizes too, don't we? And we get a lot of snapper of the pearlies on the ball jigs. We don't get them on slow pitch jig or plastics. We don't normally use plastics in 120 metres anyhow. But for some reason, the snapper seem to like the ball jigs in deep water. I don't know why. They take slow pitch jigs in deep water, 200 metres, 280 metres. It's sort of like the gap. It's really weird how some fish in certain areas will take only that type of jig and then they won't touch it. Last year we were in 118 or 100 I think metres with Jason. I got one about 80, 78, and then Stu topped me with one about 88 in the same drop, which is not too bad a size for that depth.
And are they showing up different on the sounder?
Oh, they will be little arches. And you think, well, maybe they're kings or something, but sometimes they're snapper. They'll show it same as kings. Yeah. Yeah. So you don't get many, when you get the pearlies, guys, there's not much bait there. You don't see bait clusters, ever. It's just dots. And there might be arches, which will be the snapper and all the kings with it. Yeah. And the barcod are down here as well, hiding. They'll come up and grab it. And the barcod you catch, you get two size barcod when you're fishing for pearlies in that sort of 90 or 85 to 130 metres, and they're either that big or they're the size of the table here. And if you get a pearly on, you're not quick enough sometimes, they will grab the pearly and you'll get the barcod. Sometimes you get them up, sometimes you don't. They just get stuck in their throat or whatever. Yeah, but they'll eat a whole pearly. A lot of big kings and Samson out there as well, and amberjacks in that area as well, because they love eating pearlies. Okay, so not suggest to use live pearlies for bait. They were right when they used to be 30 centimetres, but now they'll be 38. There's a fair big pearly to be a live bait, you know. But a big amberjack will eat them as well. Yeah. Any questions on that at all? All good? Okay. So any questions at all? Anything, guys? You want to?
30-pound line on big pearlies?
Yep, 100%. Yep. So it just enables these ball jigs to get down that much easier. And you can work it that much easier. You can feel every little tap. You actually feel the bite. They grab the legs. You feel it ding, 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 ding. And they just eat the whole thing. It's such a big mouth. When you get a pearly on, please just slow lift it, pump and wind it don't just try and crank it. They'll spin and they'll just cut your line off. And the second thing is they've got a between their lips and their throat, it's very, very delicate and just rips a big hole. The hook rips a big hole in there. If you take the weight off or you get up on the surface, you must get it straight into the boat. So when it comes to the surface, just grab it and lift it in the boat or net it. Because as soon as they do, they always have a habit of flicking. As I said, they're very strong and very, this is tough. So even though you pulled it up from the depth, they'll go straight back down. So when you get to the top, the first thing they do is a wiggle, and the hook just falls out and they go straight back down again. And they can be that big, they'll be 60 centimetres, and it's like very devastating. Yeah, so slow winding, keep the pressure on the whole time. Yeah, you could do that, maybe. Safety. So the other thing too, guys, we get a lot of customers, and including myself and Stewie too, we've got a lot of big pearlies in on the 24s at this time of the year, so they could be 55, 60 centimetres. They're big ones when you're doing the same sort of fishing for snapper. Only the odd ones, but I don't know what, they just seem to rock up in close sometimes. So yeah, for you, David, if you're fishing up that sort of inside, maybe Hutchie's area or they get big pearlies there at all? Occasionally? 35s, yeah, okay, yeah. So, yeah, sometimes the big ones just turn up on the shallow reefs. Yeah, I don't think.
Snapper at like the Mermaid Reef and stuff like that?
Very rare. The odd ones do get caught. They probably get more of things like jewies and stuff like that than snapper in winter.
Yeah.
The snapper seem to, except for the rocky that John was talking about, where there's odd broken wave and they're feeding on the kanji or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
They generally won't come inside of about probably 30 metres maybe. Yeah, they just seem to stick out. It's 30 and 50 metres where the big ones seem to live in that category. Or maybe up off the pin there, we've got a few spots in about 52 metres maybe, up towards Point Lookout Way. But they don't, that's their honey holes at 30 to 50. Yeah.
Is it always just on the reef, or do you find wildweed spots out there as well?
Reef preferably, yeah, so Pinnacly type area.
Yeah.
But it's just that they hang with the pearlies too at times, yeah. Once you get in on the 50s, if you're fishing the standard 50 fathom reef, which is like 85 metres or 83 metres, 88 metres, whatever it might be, they're always small pearlies. So to get away, we asked the question before, get a bit deeper. Yeah, so 88 minimum, out to 100, 120, 130. Yep. Look on your Navionics, on your Navionics app, and go to release shading, and any of those marks you set there in that 120, 130 metres, or 140, 150 metres, a little bit of dark or a little bit of a bump, that's the stuff that you're living on. There's heaps of it out there everywhere. We didn't realise there's so much there until that Navionics release shading come along. Yep, it's incredible. So for those of you who go to the 50 fathom reef to go to where I'm talking about, it's only another 3k. It's not much further out to go from 90 to 130 metres. It's 3 or 4k max. Yeah. So at the bottom goes like that, and then it goes like that.
Yeah, it jumps through real quick.
Yeah. And then when you get out to about 300 or 400 metres, then it goes like that. So yeah. It's quite steep. For the guys down at Tweedway, you're a lot closer. So if you get boats you get to Tweed in 200 metres deep, and you see boats there 4.5 metre tinnies. There's only 20k from or 5k. Sorry? 25k maybe? Oh, the canyons, I think it's 28 or 30k's from Tweed out.
You can see shore.
Yeah, see cars there. So it's very close. So if you want to take your boat down to Tweed and go out, easy. Okay, I think that's it. Okay, going to do the draw. So guys, any questions at all? Stewie's going to help you. Okay, we're going to do the draw tonight. We have got two gentlemen here with the same name. I'll call you by seat number. You're too close. I'm going to let my wife do the first draw tonight, Stu. Okay, first prize, around about $500 for the gear. And it goes to, close, number 12. Somewhere down there. Well done, buddy.
You got your glasses on too.
I have. Well done. That'll keep you going for a while, mate. Good on you, buddy. Thank you. Cheers, mate. Okay, next one. Stuart, your turn now, mate.
Number 6.
Ooh. Oh, Ronnie, you win again, mate. You're doing well lately. Oh, second one's nearly $300 for the gear. That is you, mate. Well done, Ron. Okay, next one's... so low numbers. Sorry, guys, down the back. It's number 8.
We redraw. No one's
Oh, serious? Yeah. Okay, cool. Good on you, mate. Well done, buddy. Thank you. So, Rod. Okay, that's about $200 for the gear in that one. Oh, no.
I had 5 or 6, and I said, what should I take? And she said, I'll give you 6.
Oh, you can take it the next time you see her. Okay, we got the next one.
11 the week before.
I know you did well the week before too. Okay, I'd finally down the back a little bit. 25. Well done, mate. I think it's still around 100 and something bucks. So, well done, mate. Cheers, buddy. Thank you. So we've got 8 prizes tonight. I think the last one's about $50 or $60.
Number 30.
Oh, down the back. Well done, buddy. Yeah, so that's the mate. The seat pays back. Go on, mate. Oh, number 2. You get a prop cover too. A bonus. Okay, that's your birthday present for us.
You know, it's going to be funny if the
like
boat goes in the water with prop cover on it.
Down the back again, number 29. Well done, mate.
Who left it on the boat, prop.
Oh, sorry guys, I got a mistake. Who's got 5th prize? Do you want to come back up here, my friend? And who got 6th prize? If you want to come back up. So if you guys want a swap, I get you a swap. And then if you want to bring 6th up here, mate, and you actually go to 4th. and then I think you got 7th, have you done that? Swap is better. This one's better, trust me. No, that's, Alex, that's yours. Oh, don't trust me. 7's good. 7's good. Okay. And then number 8. Stu. Sorry about the confusion there, guys. That's a bit better than one, mate.
Number 26.
Oh, down the back, Neil. Well done, buddy. So I'm going to pass that to Neil. Neil's my old building teacher. For school. Okay, so yeah. So I've got a couple more prop covers we'll give away as well. Is that good? Number 21. Oh, thanks, mate. Cheers, mate. Thank you. 21. Well done, mate. Have you got one of these yet? No, you need one. You're good. Cheers, mate. I just bought a boat back from Coss Harbour yesterday and we had one on. It's actually not a bad idea, eh? Stu? Last one, and this is the 10th prize. Everyone, thanks for coming along tonight. We are open for an hour if you need anything. Otherwise, we'll look after you when you come back in, guys.
Number 13.
13, well done, mate. Do you mind to pass that across? Thanks a lot, my friend. Guys, thanks everyone for coming along. Thanks, Stuart. Well done. Thank you. Thanks, Baron. Zucko. And on the weekend, I didn't tell you where I was going to go fishing. Okay, so this last thing. So if my boat is